Welcome everybody to another show of the Three Count. We got Benny, Jaquan, and your boy Paulinho giving you your preview for NXT War Games.
No, wait,
You
wait,
gotta be
wait,
saying it
wait.
right.
You gotta do it
You gotta
right
say it
now,
right.
right?
You gotta say it right.
NXT Takeover.
I'm mad you just
you,
blacked out in my ear when you yelled
you,
it. Like
yeah.
you just completely muted out.
you know, let's see. War Games.
You're not
How's
even
that?
no. You holding the war for too long. It's war games.
Yep.
You gotta punch the war and drag the games.
So we got a 5-match card for tomorrow
Which
night.
I'm surprised, honestly. Like that's a pretty decent card
It
for a pay
is.
per view that I thought I think is gonna last pretty long.
I don't think so. I think it'll be like 2 hours, 2.5.
I mean, it probably will be, but for all the matches on the card, like you really need ample time for storytelling because they've built it up enough with most of like they've actually given these stories a pretty decent build. The only real issue I have with the show is that there are no world title matches, but it's understandable because both the world champions are, you know, one's incapacitated, not clear to wrestle. The other is in the War Games match. So it's like it's a little frustrating to me, but I digress. I'm just being nitpicky at this point.
Let's start with the first match, a singles match. Timothy Thatcher versus Tommaso Ciampa. Benny, what are your thoughts on this match? Kick it off.
Before I saw Champa get choked out, I was on the Thatcher train. Right now, I'm thinking Tommaso Ciampa, just because of the fact that it's the rule, man. He stood tall at the end of the last of the go home show, so 99 times out of 100, regardless of whether you're NXT or WWE, you're gonna lose. So I see Ciampa coming off with this one, man. And I'm not mad at it because I need to see Ciampa being Ciampa again. I don't want to see him becoming an enhancement talent.
Jay?
I'm actually kind of the opposite in that sense because I still don't think Champa needs to win because if Champa starts to win, then it's going to look like okay, they're priming him for another title run because we know he's not moving up, and Thatcher losing again doesn't make sense to me. The whole Thatcher versus Champa match doesn't make much sense to me personally because Thatcher doesn't even want to fight him, and it's like all right, so you're gonna pick a fight with Thatcher for what? Probably because the other guy that beat up Adam Cole isn't there. The other thick husky dude that I thought was Thatcher, but wasn't.
Yeah, the one that broke his
That
leg.
being yeah, the one that broke his leg. That being said, I agree with you just because of the rule. I think Champa goes over. I just don't understand the point of Champa going over. If you're still trying to build Thatcher.
So here's my thing with this match. And I agree with you. This match, there's no point in this match. Because here's my reason why. Tommaso needs a win because he's been on a losing streak. Thatcher needs a win because you need to build him up. And then if Tommaso loses, has he become enhancement talent now?
And
Is
I
he
think
jobbing
that
now?
If I remember correctly, I don't know if you count War Games last year. I'm not sure if I don't remember exactly what it is, but if I remember correctly, it's like Ciampa hasn't won at a takeover in like over a year.
That's what I'm saying.
probably not. But he's been gone for most of the early part of the year. Like he just came back like 3 months ago. He hasn't been around.
But
He's been hurt. He hasn't been around.
it's he's still on a losing streak though, man. When's the last time he won?
I mean, but
2018.
when was the last time he needed to win?
I
He
mean, he
Yeah,
doesn't need
doesn't
to win.
necessarily
but
need
here's
to win.
but here's the thing though. You can't have him lose, and then it's because if you have him lose so much, it's like okay, like well then you're jobbing. Uh, Tommaso Ciampa versus
Essentially,
Cameron Grimes.
like
I'll
I
take
see it.
Cameron Grimes. Tommaso Ciampa versus
My
Dexter
whole
Loomis.
thing is
I'll take Dexter
I feel
Loomis.
like he's like Randy Orton at this point. Like he's reached the status in NXT where he's the Randy Orton. Like he's the guy you can put into a match and he's gonna make anybody look good, but he doesn't necessarily need the win.
But
Especially
he
when
has
you
to
put it.
win.
If you had, that's the thing. If this was a series of matches, I would understand. But this is their first major match, so why is he going over? And then what does he do next?
Well, the question is this going to be a series of matches, or is Ciampa going to move on to something else after this? Or rather, is Thatcher going to move on to something else after this?
There's a
I
question.
don't think he is because of the involvement of his young protege. So I don't even think this match has. Truthfully, if they're smart, this match is going to be a no finish. It's probably going to be a no finish, honestly.
So
It's probably gonna be good match, good match, good match, good match. You know,
I'm
good
going with
work, good
Thatcher
work, good
on
working
this
match.
one.
I'm gonna go with
Yes.
again. I'm gonna go with Ciampa because, like you said, the rule. But don't be surprised if this is a no finish and they're
Wait,
just gonna keep the feud
are you
going.
going with Ciampa or Thatcher?
I'm going with Ciampa. Just the rule of thumb says I have to go with Ciampa.
Okay, because I'm going with Thatcher for the reason being they need to build Thatcher. They just put him in a
No,
feud with Ciampa, and Ciampa
again,
needs to win as well. But it's just like I'd rather them
that's
build
why I said
Thatcher.
it makes sense of a no finish. That's why the no finish makes sense. And you keep both guys strong, but if you have Thatcher standing tall with his protege, it continues his gimmick.
Mm.
And I think that's how it's gonna end. It's gonna have something to do because his protege stepped up and got in Ciampa's face and help him beat up Ciampa. And he's like, oh, he's really stepping up. He's taking initiative. Blah 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 blah. So that they're probably gonna continue building on that story, and then eventually, Ciampa's gonna go over, and then Ciampa's probably gonna move on to the kid and not Thatcher.
Mm. Or maybe he'll step back and go to the kid, and then come back Thatcher
Yeah,
later.
yeah.
You know,
And then Thatcher can kind of move into the North American title scene.
which we'll get to in a few. Um,
Mm-hmm.
the next match is a strap match between Dexter Loomis and Cameron Grimes, which I like earlier before you got on. I told Benny I thought this should have ended at Halloween Havoc. This feud.
Mm-hmm. The problem is that they don't have anything for either guy to do, but both of these guys have momentum from a character standpoint. So it's like, what do you do with them?
Mm.
That's their problem at this point. Is you have so much talent, especially at the lower end. They have so much talent at the bottom that they're not being able to make their mid card talent stars fast enough. And now they're not having guys like Johnny, like Rhea Ripley, not Champa. They're not having people move up as often, like Io. Like they're not having people move on, so there are less spots to occupy. So now the bottom is getting crowded.
Or you have people you're bringing down like Finn Balor
Yeah,
and
you have people
Brazango.
that you're bringing down, and Ember Moon. Like you have all those talents that it's great, but you're not using them to enhance the talent that you have there at the bottom. You're using it to enhance the top talent, which again, not a problem. But if you're going to do that, you still have to find a way to build the bottom talent. Like I think Loomis should have. They should have switched it where Loomis should have been feuding with Champa and Cameron Grimes should have been feuding with Thatcher. That's how it should have been because then the matchups would be fresh and the story would be fresh, and Ciampa can remain his dark character while having Loomis be the baby face in a way. But it's a whole thing where he can still keep his whole people need to step up, people need to step up, and then have Loomis step up. And Thatcher can do his whole, I'm training thing, and Cameron can do his whole I'm obnoxious, I don't need you, I can do whatever I need to do without you teaching me how to do it. And the styles match better. But in terms of strap match, I think the strap match is just really it's entertaining, but there's no point to this match. And I don't even remember did Cameron Grimes win the Halloween Havoc match
No,
or did Dexter Loomis?
Dexter Loomis won it.
It's funny. I
Dexter
actually
Loomis
asked
won, right?
Paul at the same thing before we
Yeah,
started.
because remember
Because it
I
was such a
couldn't remember.
weird match.
Loomis won and the Ghouls came over and took Grimes
Right. So that all that tells me is that Cameron Grimes is probably going to win this one.
to keep the feud going.
Yeah, to keep the feud going because again, they don't have anything for either guy to do.
Mm-mm.
And then again, they messed up by when they took Retribution, they took three guys that they could have used in this spot up to the main roster.
Slapjack.
Primarily
Ah,
Dijakovic.
No, he's not there. He came back.
Then who's the second tall guy?
I don't know. Think of if you look at the guy he's bigger than Dijakovic.
He looks like
I hadn't
Dijakovic to
heard
me. He
them
just looks
changing
like.
characters or anything like that, but I honestly
Uh-uh.
wouldn't be surprised.
The only one I know that they changed was Mercedes Martinez
Nah, they just
because she
sent her
asked
back.
to. No, she asked for that. She was like, "No, I don't want to do this,"
Yeah, because it's stupid.
and they pushed for that. Yeah, it is stupid, but I mean, I digress. Um, but yeah, I'm gonna go with Cameron Grimes on this one.
Benny.
I am actually going to go with Cameron Grimes as well because WWE doesn't know how to do anything other than 50-50 booking.
Yeah.
That's
Now
literally
it'd
it.
be funny if it'd be funny if we just get this whole like match card just wrong.
It'd be hilarious.
It would be hilarious, but I mean,
Yeah, it would. All right, next match on the card we got.
Wait, who'd you pick?
I got Grimes as well.
Okay.
Yeah, I got Grimes because Loomis won the Havoc. There's no way he's gonna win again. If he does, it's like it kills the feud. It
Yeah.
kills it. Grimes has to
I mean
win.
that wouldn't be the worst idea. But then, like you said, like what else is like? What are you gonna do? Throw Kushida against one of them? Kushida can't. You can't have a feud with Kushida because he doesn't speak the language. Like you can't carry a feud with the dude. That's a part of the problem. Like he's there, he's having matches, he's having good matches, but for what?
Hmm.
Also, I'm kind of surprised they don't have the cruiserweight title on this card. Surprisingly enough.
No.
That's actually going to play into something I have a little bit later.
Okay then, say less. Move on. We can move forward. Cool.
All right, we have the three-way match, triple threat for North American Championship. The champion Leon Ruff versus Johnny Gargano versus Damian Priest. This is
This one
interesting.
is really hard for me because of the simple fact that neither Johnny nor Damian need it. And I don't know. Like, I feel like they cut Damian Priest's title run short. That's my first thing. I feel like they cut it really short before he was able to really, like, he should have had a Velveteen Dream kind of run where he could really flesh out his character while having the title and then flesh out the middle of the card. Bringing Johnny down for that to me was stupid. That being said, the thing that's interesting about this match is this whole Ghostface faction thing that the Garganos have going on. I don't understand it, but I'm interested, and I think that's the point. It's interesting. The hardest part for me is even though it's only been one pay-per-view cycle, aka 2 weeks, or maybe I think it's a month now that Ruff has had the title. I don't see any logical point of taking the title off of him. I don't see the logic in taking the title off of him. And I actually like that he's like that clumsy champion. And then after this feud, you can have him go out on his own and maybe win another defense and then lose. But the dude looks like he belongs on 205. So I think that's what they're priming him to transition to. So, and I mean, he's the last black guy in the holy black trinity of like Isaiah Swerve, Scott, Adonis, and now you would have Leon Ruff. So it's like you have the perfect numbers to go after Paul, if you will. What's the name of the faction?
El legado del fantasma.
There you go. They would have the perfect numbers to do that. So I think that there may be a little bit of that there, but I'm not sure how you can just flip the transition like that. Like it's a weird kind of like yeah, now you got his name out there. Now he's an established character. Okay, let's shuffle him over to 205 Live. It's like, it doesn't make a lot of sense, but I could see them doing it. And then if they do it, I think it still makes more sense to put the title back on Gargano and set up the Candice LeRae Io Shirai rematch. So that at like Royal Rumble, for the Royal Rumble season, you set up Shotzi to get her title shot either at Royal Rumble or you have it going towards WrestleMania weekend for Shotzi to get the big pop. Because I feel like if you're not building Shotzi at this point, what are you doing? But that again, that's for a different match. Because it feels like she's the baby face right now. She's like the uber baby face of the women's division. But like just like Leon Ruff would then turn into like the uber baby face in 205 Live. And then you have Swerve Scott, you have Adonis, who are two guys that lost in because of the numbers game, yada yada yada. Now you even the odds. And then Jake Atlas always kind of looked like the odd man out, but Jake Atlas kind of reminds me of Kurt Angle in the sense of you don't see him coming, but when he comes, he's gonna come hard. So I think they established Jake Atlas with that first feud he had, but they're looking to kind of put him to the side a little bit, let him go on a little winning streak, and then throw him back into the fire later. So I think this match kind of ties into the Cruiserweight Championship picture in an indirect kind of way. With that being said, I personally think it's going to be Gargano.
That was a mouthful.
I am actually a little more assured.
It's a little. It's one of those where it's like I could see it taking several different directions because you gotta go somewhere from this. You can't just have this be clean and there's no resolution then built. Like you can't just let that go. But I'm sorry, Benny. Proceed.
No, I was gonna say that I'm actually a little more assured with this one. Who did Damian Priest and Leon Ruff actually beat on Wednesday? The team.
They beat
yes, the team with the unpronounceable name.
El Legado de Fantasma.
Yeah.
Yes.
There we go. That team.
They beat the two of them, and to be complete, and actually Leon Ruff, after he blind tagged himself in, is the one that got the pin. Now he didn't pin Santos Escobar, but he did get the pin. What that basically tells me is that in whatever way you want to try and spin it, is that Escobar has a reason to now have a beef with Leon Ruff. Johnny Gargano has his Ghostface people. I see quite possibly the single most interference in a match in history where Escobar's men are going to take out Leon Ruff. That's going to leave Damian Priest trying to fight off two Ghostface and a Gargano, and I don't see him getting past that. So, unfortunately, for the third time tonight, me and Jay are going to have to agree on a pick because I'm going with Gargano.
And it makes sense because it continues the Gargano Priest thing and it moves Leon Ruff.
And it moves Leon Ruff to the Cruiserweight title.
Yeah.
That's pretty much what I was thinking. As soon as they started setting this thing up, I see triple threat, and then they started feuding with well, not feuding, but they had a match with somebody who had absolutely nothing to do with it.
And then Damian Priest like randomly attacks the dude backstage and takes out one of the dudes. It's like, wait, what's happening? What is going on?
Oh boy, LSU must be getting absolutely destroyed.
Must be. Yep. Okay. Yep. That's what he said. I'm assuming it's the basketball team or is it the football team?
No, it's Alabama LSU tonight.
Oh. Okay.
You know what I'm gonna send to the chat. Hey, Ohio State, y'all got another Joe Burrow over there?
Yep, y'all know one of the Joe Burrows.
They missed out on TJ Daniels or JT Daniels, so I mean,
and then Marshall left. So, but anyway, this ain't college
Yeah.
football talk.
No. I'm going to disagree with you guys. I think
Of
this
course you are.
is. I think they realized they messed up when they let Johnny win at Halloween
Over
Havoc
Priest.
over Priest. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
I think they realized they messed up. So I think what they did was they gave Leon Ruff something to do. Beat Johnny real quick. Get the triple threat. Get it back to Priest. Right the wrong, which is dumb because you could have right the wrong in a rematch. Ain't nothing wrong with that. It's the North American title.
Mm-mm.
You could have it
Mm-mm.
switch hands
Mm-mm.
on TV because you need the
Mm-mm.
views. You know what I'm
Mm-mm.
saying?
Mm-mm.
Why not, Jay?
Mm-mm. Because at that point, I think in the short lifespan of the North American title, they probably close to, if not equal to, the amount of champions that the NXT title has. They're getting pretty close at this point, and only the early guys had longer title reigns. So you start playing hot potato now, then it's like, okay, what are you like? Does this title mean anything, or is this just the equivalent of the US title in WCW? Like, what are we doing with it? You have to make the title mean something, especially when you're putting it on shows where it's the main title being defended. It can't just not mean anything, and it
Right.
can't just be playing hot potato.
No, of course not. But
So
I think
you have to give it something. That's why the Leon Ruff thing makes sense, because you're doing it twofold now. Because now, if Johnny takes the pin, or if Johnny wins, Johnny doesn't necessarily have to pin Priest. Johnny doesn't have to pin Priest
Priest don't have to
at
pin
all.
Johnny.
Priest doesn't have to pin Johnny, but Priest's character pinning Ruff doesn't make sense.
Yeah, for what it's worth, if Priest pins Rough, it really makes him look like a dick.
It does, and I mean, like, if that's the champ, if that's the gimmick you want to go for with him, then fine. But even though he started off presenting as a heel, he's very much a face now. So that doesn't make sense for his face character. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't, unless you're gonna have him be a switch, but then you're gonna have him go heel in this match and then immediately turn to face because Johnny's not gonna leave him alone. And then you have a crap ton more faces. So it's like
You have to
it
remember
doesn't make a lot of sense.
we're talking a card that already doesn't make sense. You got Timothy Thatcher versus Tommaso Ciampa. That match don't make sense. Dexter Loomis versus Cameron Grimes. Again, it don't make sense.
Yeah, but I mean, you don't want your North American title picture becoming as muddled as your world title picture right now, because we don't even know what's going on with the NXT title right now.
And that's why I said they're trying to rewrite the wrong that they did at Havoc, having Priest lose the belt.
But I mean, again, if they're gonna rewrite the wrong, why not put it on Johnny? Establish the faction, making Priest look that much stronger when you put the belt back on him because of all he had to overcome, and really making him an uber babyface. Instead of doing it now, making him look like a dick by pinning Rush, and then probably taking it off of him in 2 pay-per-views anyway, because you need him in the world title picture.
You don't need Priest as a title picture right now.
Dude,
I
who's in
want him
their
in the
world
title
title
picture.
picture?
Huh?
Who's in the world title picture? Who's there?
You can build it.
You don't have anybody. How? How are you
Peter
going to build it when there's
Pete Dunne.
nobody there?
Pete Dunne wants it. But the thing is, you can't have a title picture if the title holder is still like on IR.
No, he's not on
And
IR. He's right here.
I understand what you're saying, but my thing is, if you're gonna sit, because again, you have Johnny, who's like this monster heel. You don't need, because at this point they're probably figuring Finn's gonna be healthy by January, right? That's what it seems, because they bought him back to do a promo, so they think he's gonna be healthy by January, right? Karrion Kross, you got to figure, is probably not gonna come back, and if they do, it's gonna be a really, really short stint, right? So they need a monster big. Like, they don't have that monster mismatch. They have a bunch of small dudes. They don't even have a bunch of small dudes. They have what? Pete Dunne, Adam Cole, Finn.
So what's to say they don't
Who else
flip
in the
Priest?
Who else is in the title picture?
What's they don't say Priest?
The greatest superstar in the history of NXT, Pat McAfee.
I mean, if you want to throw a
I swear that's gonna happen.
Here's
You
my
know
thing.
it's gonna
Here's my
happen.
thing. If you want to do a David Arquette kind of situation and make it so that, but the problem is if you put the title on McAfee,
I
then
don't think they're gonna put it on
you,
him. I think they're
they're
just gonna
not
have
gonna.
him in the match.
I think they're gonna put the title on Pete Dunne.
Mm-hmm.
I can see that.
Personally, I think they're gonna put the title on Pete Dunne because it continues the Undisputed Era's feud. So Triple H can now tuck away the Undisputed Era, and it's like, okay, Vince, you can't touch them. I need them. Instead of not having them have anything to do. At that point, then Finn can probably go heel because he'll probably only have enough to do one match, and then he can really go heel or whatever. And then you have Johnny, and you have a bunch of. The thing is, you would seriously have a bunch of faces because you still have more faces in NXT in the mid card than you do heels chasing Johnny versus people chasing Priest that really can't beat him. Because like I can see Cameron Grimes beating Johnny Gargano. You see Cameron Grimes beating Damian Priest? Really? Really? You see, the only guy that I could see realistically that they would put the title on that makes sense beating Damian Priest is Dexter Lumis, who was supposed to have the title anyway.
Well, the match they had was actually pretty damn good, so I can't say.
I know it was, and if he didn't get hurt, he would be champion. Now, the way to rectify this is because you have such a massive mid card, is now we're probably in the territory of we're gonna have a ladder match again. You're going to end up having a ladder match. I don't know what the stipulation can be because you can't really do it at TLC, and it doesn't make sense to have a turnaround where they have a match on TLC for the North America. Like, you know what I'm saying? It doesn't make sense for them to have a match.
They're not going to do that anyway because they're keeping everybody separate.
But then come January makes a lot more sense for them to have because you'll probably get a couple of guys back from injury. You'll have like their mid card is mass. They still have everyone they had from the last match. Sans probably Velveteen Dream because they're still keeping them off TV for God knows how long. But now you have who was in the match? You have the big dude, the Brodus Clay looking dude whose name I can't remember right now.
I can't remember his name either.
But you know I'm talking about, the Australian dude.
Mm-hmm.
You got Damian Priest, you got Johnny Gargano, you got Dexter Lumis, you got Cameron Grimes. You could throw in Timothy Thatcher. That's your six right there. You can throw in, and that's your six right there. And there's about 4 other guys outside of who presumably would be the champion that could win that belt. But now you have a 6-man battle royal. You have other feuds you can build from off of that. And then you have 2 or 3 guys that you can pick out and add to the title scene. Because you don't want another 3-man circus like we have right now, which is why there's the 2 factions, because there just aren't enough contenders now. You got rid of Keith Lee, Karrion Kross is injured, Finn Balor's injured. You don't really have a top of the card. Then that's a part of the problem. You don't have a top of the card. So, I mean, again, this is why I keep saying Johnny is the logical choice here.
And plus, Damian Priest.
I'm saying Damian Priest is also better chasing the title than he is with the title. And realistically, if he goes against Johnny again, he could lose and be like, you know what? I'm going to go after the world title. And then you have Johnny versus Damian Priest. Johnny versus Dexter Lumis. You have Johnny versus Timothy Thatcher, who we don't even know is a face or a heel or not at this point.
That Johnny Gargano, Dexter Lumis, I would love to see that. And
then you have the outside shot of, Jake Atlas, who's that plucky upstart, he reminds me of like the Asian dude from the comics that ends up becoming the Hulk. Like that's who he reminds me of.
Ryan Cho, I think it is. I forgot.
Ryan Cho, like that's who he looks like to me. And you can bill him as like this super bubbly, and then you just got the Radicals. Like you have people sitting in the wings. They just brought back the dude that had the black belt. They put him back in NXT. but I think he got hurt. Like the match he came back when you still have Kushida, who's a heel more or less, but you have Kushida who's like a face heel right now because he's not really a heel, he's not really a face. So you could put the title on Kushida if you wanted to. So I mean, it just makes more sense. And again, all those guys make more sense beating Johnny Gargano than they do beating big ass Damian Priest. Because again, that's another problem with the title. You don't have a lot of big people that's going to beat Damian Priest, or that's gonna that you can put against Damian Priest right now. You don't. You don't have any other monster heels because dude broke his leg. So, and you know for a fact Pete Dunne is not going after the North American title. So, like, what are you going to do? Throw Roderick Strong back in there? Kyle O'Reilly, maybe? I mean, you could, but then again, too, those guys versus Damian Priest or those guys versus Johnny Gargano?
I don't know, because I mean, you have
The
you
book,
have booking on there.
that's what I'm
You
saying.
can
Like,
do.
the booking makes too much sense for Johnny versus Priest. And Priest, I think at this point, he's gotten to a point where he's a lower level, top of the card guy anyway. And you just need him to have top of the card feuds. Like, moving Ciampa on to Priest, that's a major one, especially with what Ciampa's doing now versus Priest's character. It makes sense, and that's a type of win that Priest could really, really use to establish himself. Because Johnny still feels more mid card than main event. Ciampa still feels main event.
Mhm.
So yeah, all that
Yeah.
to say, I'm still going with Johnny, but yeah,
I'm still staying with Priest. So
Benny,
yeah, Benny
you
said
said
Gargano. He agreed
you
with
said
you.
Yeah, I
Gargano.
got
Okay,
Gargano.
Yeah, yeah. So let's go into the first of the two war game matches. War games.
so are you gonna be sexist or not? Like, who are we doing first?
We're doing the Team Shotzi versus
I knew he was gonna do
Team
that
Candice.
because I'm assuming you think that the men's war game match is gonna main event.
Ye- I thought about it, and I think so. To be honest.
Yeah, the storyline makes sense. I'm messing with you. The storyline makes too much sense for it not to
Mhm.
be the main event.
Yeah, because the thing I'm looking here, like there's stuff here, but the thing is, if I look at the card, I think it's gonna be, to be honest, the way the card I think it's gonna look is either the women are gonna kick it off with their war game, or their match is gonna be after Timothy
The main
Thatcher.
event.
No, after
Uh,
Timothy Thatcher, it's gonna be the second or third match of the night.
hmm.
And then you'll have the other matches, and then gonna be kind of like your palate cleanser until you get to the guys, the men's war
Yeah.
game match. So we got Team Shotzi, which is Shotzi Blackheart, Ember Moon, Rhea Ripley, and Io Shirai, the women's champion, versus Team Candice, which is Candice LeRae, Dakota Kai, Raquel Gonzalez, and recently heel turned Tony Storm. Betty, what are your thoughts on this one?
All right. First, I did not have a dog in this fight until Io Shirai got on the team. All right. Because I like everybody involved in this match. It's just I'm an Io Shirai stan at the moment. So that kind of sort of swung my allegiance for the match when she, joined the team. Although I was calling that throughout the entire night when they were sitting up there like, oh, she doesn't have the fourth member. Saw it happening right off the bat. Um, the one thing in this match that's giving me hesitation about picking Team Shotzi is the fact that they won the advantage. That's the only thing that's given me some type of pause on it because it's kind of sort of like that's a heel thing. Like I was fully expecting Raquel Gonzalez to win that match the other night. And it kind of threw me off with the fact that, like, all right, now you have the face team with the advantage in the War Games match. So it's just like, what are they going to do to actually swing this advantage over to the heels? Which is where it should be in order to build the heat for the match for the eventual babyface comeback. So I'm looking at. I would hate to see it a Rhea Ripley heel turn in the middle
You
of it.
read my mind. You read
Put
my mind.
put a potential Rhea Ripley heel turn. Um, but again, that all of that is speaking of hypotheticals. I'm going Team Shotzi. Um, but I like if they're gonna do something and do something big, I would see the Rhea Ripley heel turn for a couple of reasons. One, because they need to swing something back to the heel side to actually give them some type of an advantage. Because Team Shotzi is like stupid stacked. Um, and then on top of that, Rhea Ripley, ever since she lost to Charlotte, has been kind of sort of on the downswing until she beat Raquel Gonzalez. And then even then, she's kind of sort of been still in like a holding pattern.
Well, Triple H
Logic would
actually took responsibility for that.
logic
He
would
he
tell you
he owned up for that. So
he needed to
yeah.
because that was crap. Logic would tell you that she needs something to refresh her character, and to refresh her character would be to turn her into like this monster heel. The issue that I have with doing that is the fact that you just had Tony Storm turn. So it's kind of sort of like I don't know if you can call it hot shot booking with that one or whatever, but it's kind of sort of like just sitting up there like, all right, I have all of my women's division right here, all as light switches, and I'm just gonna flip like 16 of them at the same time to turn them from one side to the other, just because. So anyway, like I said, that's my only caveat is if Rhea Ripley turns heel, that's the only way I see Team Candace winning this one. But I got Team Shotzi.
Jay.
Here's my thing. The faces went over last year,
Mm-hmm.
led by Rhea Ripley and Candice LeRae,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I'm just looking at in terms of individual matchups, right? Dakota Kai and Raquel Gonzalez don't really have anything to do at this point. So I don't know what they're gonna do with them. I think they're just in the match for numbers. Them being in the match doesn't make a lot of sense to me. But I digress. Here's where it gets complicated. It's I don't think the face team goes over because they went over last year in such a spectacular way. And I think because EO has been booked so well and so strongly, they need a situation where she looks beatable to set up her dropping the title. So that's why I'm kind of looking at the matchup of either Dakota Kai or Candice LeRae is going to get the pin for on EO. And it's probably going to be with the help of Rhea Ripley. I can see Rhea Ripley doing that, a la what Dakota did last year, but probably just in the cell and then leaving. Because Rhea Ripley's character got popular as a heel first. And she got over as a heel before they turned her face. She only turned face when the Survivor Series thing came around. She was a heel before then. And she's always been the type of heel where she's a lone wolf. She doesn't do teams. She doesn't do friends. She doesn't like people. That works so much better as a heel. And if they're going to right the wrong of her losing at WrestleMania, they have to kind of set up her for either a roster call up or a big moment at WrestleMania. And to do that, you probably need her to be a heel. That's my first thing. But I think either Candice or Dakota is going to pin Io Shirai. Calling that right now. Ember Moon and Tony Storm are already preset. I think that's both of those guys' biggest feud going forward. So I think they're either going to eliminate each other or one's going to eliminate the other, yada, yada, yada. My problem is who pins Shotzi when Shotzi really shouldn't be or can't be pinned. If you're building her as your next babyface, which is what they seem to be doing, in order for her to lose, she has to lose in swinging fashion. So either Rhea has to turn on Shotzi right there, setting up a feud between her and Shotzi, which then gives Shotzi a worthy opponent and a linchpin to really put her in. Because again, she's lost to EO, she's lost to Candice, she's all had great matches against all of them, but she doesn't have a big win yet, and she needs a big win in order for her to go after whoever the next champion is going to be. Most likely, I think it's going to be Candice. And in order to set that up and to continue with the whole Shotzi and Candice thing, Shotzi needs a big win. And the one person that can probably give her the win on the way out would be a heel Rhea Ripley. So I think this sets up that feud, which is how I think Candice Team Candice wins. Who's going to get rid of Raquel? I don't know. It could be one of those where Shotzi gets rid of Raquel to make her look strong, or it could be an Ember Moon getting rid of Raquel to make her look strong, or it could even be an Io Shirai
That's a one
at
fall.
this point.
We ain't eliminating people.
Oh, right. This is an elimination situation. It's one fall.
Mhm.
So again, I could definitely see Rhea Ripley costing her team the win and just kind of walking out. And then kind of hitting her with the you were me from last year, and don't think you're gonna sit up here and you're gonna take my spot, Shotzi, blah 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 blah. I'm still here. I'm still that chick. I'm still the best in this women's division. And after I'm done with you, I'm gonna go and take the title, blah 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 blah. And that sets up like her like this monster heel, and Shotzi, who's significantly smaller than her, goes into like that underdog babyface role. And then you have the whole two goth chicks thing. So I mean, the entrances will be a little dope.
I agree with Team Candice winning. I just don't agree with Rhea Ripley turning heel. I actually have Ember Moon turning heel because
Doesn't make sense,
Rhea Ripley is the obvious choice.
right?
Ember
Why would
Moon.
Ember? But that's the thing. Why would Ember turn after she was the one that just got turned on?
I think I know where Paul's going with this one, and I already hate it.
Proceed. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you. Proceed.
Because you have Ember going in, everything seems fine, and then like she might be the last person, second to last person in the cage to come out. I want to say the last one, and then she comes in, and you think she's gonna help, and then ends up being like a handicap match instead of it being 4-on-4, it's 5-on-4. And
Or
Team
five on
Shots,
three. Yeah.
yeah, 5-on-3. Sorry, 5-on-3, and Team Shots just gets destroyed, obviously, because Rhea Ripley can do what she can, but it's like when they take out Io Shirai first, and then they take out Shotzi, it's Ripley against five.
I don't think Ripley's the sole survivor. That's the thing.
You
I
got
don't
you
think
got to remember,
Ripley is the last person standing.
it's. I think she will be because I think she'll be there. I think they'll just take out Candice and not Candice, Io and Shotzi first. Io first,
Hmm.
then Shotzi. Yeah, it sounds crazy. The champion goes down, but if you look at the three, it's like
I'm not looking at the champion going down. I'm looking at who the thing is specifically. Look who's on Team Shot. Look who's on Team Shotzi, and it's still named Team Shotzi. That's what doesn't make sense to me, because you have Rhea Ripley, who's already been a team captain. You have Io Shirai, who is the world champion. So why is the name of the team Team Shotzi?
we
But I
can
think
go
they
with that
just do
route,
that because she's a captain.
right? I
Um,
They
think they, I
again,
think I think
why would they make her captain?
I think they just did it
well, she
because like
started out as captain.
yeah,
Um, but here's where I'm actually differing with you guys on this one. We brought up that Rhea Ripley won last year. The
Mm-hmm.
faces won last year.
Mm-hmm.
You also have Io Shirai, who was on the heel team last year, who lost.
Okay.
So I'm looking at it as you already balanced everything out with that right there. So you have somebody who already taken an L on the face team, who the face team actually won last year. So I don't think there's any correlation where, okay, the faces won last year, so they're going to drop it this year.
I think you're putting way too much stock in Io Shirai in the hierarchy of things.
That
Like,
might be what she is, the women's
she was a
champion. So
secondary.
That's it. Just the women's
That's the thing.
champion.
She has the title, but the only reason why she
that's
is
the
the
other
women's
thing. The
champion,
women's champion lost last year.
and that the thing that gets me though is that, like, again, Io's only champion because of how big they made the whole Io being as good as Asuka in the Charlotte feud. Io's shine came from the Charlotte factor, not from the NXT factor.
I don't even know if you can say that. Io, did she get any shine from that? She didn't even pin Charlotte.
She did.
No.
But I mean, she got, well, that's also true. But again, her being included, and it's like, okay, no, she's of this echelon, and she was able to outlast those two women. That's what they're going for.
Mm-hmm.
My thing is that, again, ever since that match, Io's been a face. Why? I don't know.
Well, she had been a face before that. Because when they tried to turn her heel, they tried to turn her heel, and the crowd was just like, no.
It wasn't working.
Because of the fact that Io's moveset doesn't fit heel.
No.
Her moveset is 100% face, regardless of what her attitude is.
Mm-hmm.
Like her moveset always says cheer for me. The other thing is, and this plays into how
that's the hardest part about the women's championship picture right now is that.
But see, here's the other thing is what plays into what I was getting ready to say, my bad, Paul, is I see Rhea leaving. And by leaving, I mean she's gonna be in the Royal Rumble. And not just as an NXT superstar. I think Rhea Ripley is winning the Royal Rumble. So I don't see a heel Rhea Ripley doing that. I could see a face Rhea Ripley doing it, which would set up a rematch with, again, going towards,
Charlotte.
Just saying, booking it out. Charlotte, when she comes back, winning the title off of Asuka, because that's pretty much how they're setting this up. And then Rhea Ripley wins the Royal Rumble, and then she goes and like, all right, listen, I want my rematch, and this is how we're going to do this now, leading to 37. Like I said, which basically it kind of sort of that thought process, what I have right there, throws off the idea of the Rhea Ripley heel turn, because Charlotte is, regardless of whether Charlotte's a face or a heel, Charlotte's a heel. So I'm looking at it like you got to have Rhea Ripley stay as a face. So, because on top of the fact that if she turns heel on somebody, there has to be some type of a story reason for it. And I don't think you can play that story out with, my bad. I don't think you can play that story out with the short amount of time you have right now between TakeOver and the Royal Rumble, depending on when the Royal Rumble is. And even then, you're talking about her. Let's say she turns heel on Shotzi. Are you going to pay that off on a regular episode of NXT? Or are they just going to throw like a?
Don't they have another one in January? They usually have one the same weekend as they usually have a takeover the same weekend as Royal Rumble.
They usually do, but at the same time, it's like we're talking COVID season. We don't know what the hell's going on right now.
Yeah.
And I haven't looked at the schedule, so I don't know.
Look it up now.
But say there isn't one there. Would you pay off a Rhea Ripley? Like, granted, they did the title change with her and Shayna on a regular episode, but that was like the season finale, if they wanted to call it that. It was something that they were doing to like beat AEW that week.
I mean, realistically, if you wanted to do the payoff, you could do it on like a New Year's show.
See, here's where I was going.
3 weeks?
Because you got to remember.
Not much.
You got to remember. Here's why. Here's the reason why you have to remember this. Ember's whole gimmick and her whole intro and coming back was what? I want the belt.
I want
the belt.
that's great, that's cute and all, but you just had somebody turn heel on her, and then she's gonna go and turn heel. That doesn't make
You know
sense.
you know why I was thinking of Paul saying this, and it's happened before, but the only one that really pops into my mind with it is Aces and Eights over in TNA. Is when they had Aces and Eights jump Bully Ray and then reveal Bully Ray to be the actual president of Aces and
Yeah,
Eights. It's a trope that I hate in wrestling.
it
It's like,
makes no
okay,
sense.
I took one
It's
for the team.
annoying, but
So like I said, I could
If
see it
this was
happen.
a
I just would
faction,
hate it.
I could understand, but if it's just for a match, I don't get it.
Mm-hmm.
but see, here's the thing. Like I was saying before in the chat, like the other day, this match is gonna build to Io's next feud. Look at who's on that team. Candice LeRae, Raquel Gonzalez, Dakota Kai, and Tony Storm. Only two names pop out as feuds on there for her. Tony Storm and Candice LeRae.
And I'm not putting Tony Storm in that spot yet.
No. And
I'm telling that to me, that's WrestleMania.
and to me, I'm tired of seeing Candice LeRae and Io Shirai.
You gotta pay it off. That's the problem. Because you can't just keep having Candace get to the top, and then keep getting knocked down, whether she's a face or a heel. You got to put the title on Candace at some point or another.
Yeah, but you know what? She ain't going nowhere. Johnny ain't going nowhere. They're NXT for life. She got time to get that belt.
Then what
You
else
know,
do you do with her character? That's the point. At this point,
you
there's
could put her.
nothing else.
You could
There's
put her.
nothing else. There's
You could put her. You could write her off. Give her a break. You could write her off for
And
the
then
rest of
what
the
are you gonna
month.
do with Johnny? And what are you
I
gonna do
don't
with
think they
Johnny?
write her off right
Johnny's
now. There's too
you
much going
can't
on with
do
that
you
family.
can't do that. You have the Garganos thing. You have that whole
The
thing that
Garganos,
they were doing the same.
they screwed up the
They were doing the same
Garganos
thing.
thing when Johnny lost the belt. That's to me. I still don't get why did they have Johnny lose to Leon Ruff? Nothing against Leon Ruff, but why? What purpose?
The story, like you're right, the story doesn't make any sense. But again, you still have a situation where you can fix that. And then again, they keep picking at this whole ghost face freaking faction situation. So to me, it doesn't make any sense for unless you find out that Ember was one of the ghost faces. But again, that still makes no sense.
Yeah, but then you have NXT to pay it off, and then you could say why? You know,
But again, it goes completely against what you said her character was
her
just
character
now.
wants the
It goes
belt. Her character wants
yeah.
the
So
belt.
why would she help Candace? So why would she help Candace?
She's setting up her
That
feud
gets her
with Io
no
Shirai
point.
right now. In this match, she sets up her feud with Io Shirai.
How does
That's the
she
way I
get
look at it.
ahead of? But that's what I'm saying. How does she set it up and she get in line before Candace or Dakota? She's not in front of both of them, in front of either of them. She's not there.
Bro, it's the same way
She's not
Karrion Cross
there.
jumped everybody and got title shot.
Yeah, but
Everybody's
Karrion
jumping.
Cross beat people.
I know,
Karrion Cross beat people. Who
but
did
here's
she
the
beat?
thing. But a lot of people always jump in the line. You're asking to stay in the line, but a lot of people always jump in the line. I get what you're saying.
But again,
Beat somebody,
the
but
logic
there's
doesn't make
always
sense.
it.
But the logic doesn't make sense.
Does it always have to
Her
make
being
sense?
on
It
a
doesn't always have to make sense.
But again, if you're gonna come back as a lone wolf, but then suddenly join a faction 2 weeks in,
She doesn't
it
have to
doesn't
join a
make
faction. She
sense.
doesn't have to join a faction. I'm not talking about her
If she's
joining a
gonna be
faction.
revealed as a ghost face, or if she's
No,
gonna turn
that's
heel,
Benny. Benny's talking about the ghost face. I'm talking about
well,
Amber saying,
again, the
"Hey, look,
only
I
way
came back to win the belt that
the
I've
only way
wanted."
I see that happening is if she literally turns on everyone in the ring. She has to flip on everybody. Heel, face, doesn't matter. She lays everybody out and then leaves. That's the
Yeah, but
only way
that
that
would
works.
that would be really weird, especially considering
Yeah,
if she leaves this, she loses the match.
because you have to
Yeah,
think.
that's
You
what I'm
have to think
saying.
though. You have
It
to
doesn't
think.
make sense.
You're talking about Ember Moon taking out the entire squad on both sides.
Right?
That's not gonna happen. All I'm
I mean,
saying
she
here,
could.
she probably could. She'll have trouble with Raquel and Rhea, but the way I'm looking at it is she's the last one coming in out of the cage. and and Shotzi and them think they, oh, like, oh, now we even up, we good now. Next thing you know is she takes out Rhea Ripley by the knees. Next thing you know is
That
she
doesn't
kicks.
make sense.
Yeah, but then you have her yelling at Io, "I came here for the belt. You have
That
the belt."
doesn't make sense.
Rhea
That
Ripley,
makes zero
but
sense.
Rhea Ripley going heel doesn't make sense either, because you can't have her like Benny says, you can't have her turn heel and then expect her as a heel go after Charlotte, who most likely is always going to be a heel
So you're
for the
going
rematch.
from NXT. Think about it. We're going from NXT narrative to main roster narrative. When does it matter what you were in NXT when you go to the main roster? Since when does that matter?
When
Name a time where that mattered. And that doesn't include Survivor Series.
doesn't include Survivor Series.
Now, the Survivor Series actually makes it worse.
Yeah.
Make that make sense.
It doesn't. But the thing is, like,
That's my point.
looking at it from our own perspective, all right, the hell with Vince. If we're looking at it from our own perspective, if you take Rhea and you turn her heel, when she goes in, if just I said hypothetically, because like I said we don't know what the hell's going to happen. For all we know, Bailey could win the Royal Rumble, and then they do the whole Sasha Bailey thing again. But say Rhea comes in and wins the Royal Rumble, right? She's immediately going to be flipped back face, which makes the heel turn completely irrelevant.
It was
It's
a
not
And
waste.
meant
I,
It
to
was a
be
waste.
relevant.
It was a
It's not
waste.
meant to be relevant. No, it's not a waste because the whole point of it is to get Shotzi a big win. Shotzi does not have a big win.
here's the problem with that though. When you flip somebody heel, with the exception of that stupid ass Sasha Banks heel turn last year, whenever somebody flips like that, they immediately win their next feud.
Yeah.
But my point is that doesn't apply for NXT when the person is going to the main roster.
Yeah, but here's the
That
thing
does
though.
not
I
matter.
can't see it, man.
My thing is if you're having a heel turn, there has to be a payoff. If you have Rhea turn heel at War Games just to leave and give Shotzi a win, that's not really a big payoff.
Then
Just to give her a
who
rub,
does she get the who gives her the rub then? Who
she's
gives
gonna
her the
have to
rub?
get it from Candace.
What, Dakota
She's
Kai?
she's gonna have to get it from
She
Candace.
can't get it from Candace because Candace is next in line.
She's
Can't get it
got to
from
beat
Candace.
Tony Storm.
That's the only one that would make sense. But then again, if she beats Tony, if she feuds with Tony Storm out of the clear blue, when Tony Storm has yet to attack Shotzi this whole time, make that make sense.
And that kills
Shotzi pins Tony to win the match.
Shotzi what?
Shotzi pins Tony to win the match.
Well, here's the thing. If you have them feud and you have Shotzi win that feud, it kills the momentum of again the Tony Storm heel
That's
turn.
what I'm saying. Nobody else can afford to lose clean their next feud except for Rhea Ripley because she's going to the main roster.
But here's the thing: when she goes to Royal Rumble, they're gonna talk about
No
her.
one's gonna care. They're gonna talk about Survivor Series 2019. They're gonna talk about WrestleMania 2020. They're not gonna talk about what she did in NXT.
They're gonna talk about War
They're
Games.
not.
Well,
They don't
the
do it.
main roster
They're
people
gonna
aren't going
say
to
that
talk
she was.
about it.
They aren't gonna talk
What's
about
going to
it.
happen? What would make more sense for Rhea Ripley to actually lose and go to the main roster would be Raquel Gonzalez.
No,
Raquel
If
Gonzalez
she,
no,
doesn't.
no, 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 no,
Raquel Gonzalez doesn't have that. She doesn't have that big of a profile. She's
no.
still a nobody.
she is still a nobody, but
Tony
that is
Storm.
what would put her over the hell with. No. Nah.
Tony can't lose. That's the point.
No, I'm
Tony
talking.
can't lose.
No, I'm talking about Tony beating Rhea before she leaves, before she ascends to the main roster.
I wouldn't be mad at that.
That's the
However,
same way, but that's the thing. That means you'd be doing the same thing that happened at NXT UK.
yeah, that's what I was about to say. It's like you're repeating the
Because that's
NXT
exactly
UK
how
thing.
you wrote off. Yeah, 'cause that's how you wrote her off of NXT UK before she went to NXT. At which point she came to NXT as a face after being heel on NXT UK.
But she showed up and was just like, "Hey, listen, I want your belt. And that was because she faced off against Shayna
And that's all
Baszler.
she has to do on the main roster because if she shows up at Royal Rumble, face, heel, doesn't matter. All she has to do is win. She does not need to have a face or heel as a Royal Rumble winner. It doesn't matter. It's not gonna matter.
I thought it was gonna matter to me because it's like, why did you turn her heel? Oh,
Yeah, it made no sense.
Continuancy from NXT to the main roster is we had DIY when Ciampa was NXT champion and Gargano was North American champion. And you're gonna tell me about continuancy?
that
After
was
they
the
just finished having a
No.
blood feud a week
that
before.
was the worst case of hot shot booking that you could ever have imagined. Though.
But
Yeah,
it happens all the time. It continues to happen all the time. They use the main roster. They use the NXT people on the main roster how they see fit. How they were using NXT is irrelevant. It is absolutely irrelevant. If it was, Ricochet would be booked 10 times better than what he is. Ali wouldn't have.
the
Ali
booking is
would have
the
been booked 10 times.
booking
Come on,
NXT
man.
to main roster is different. That's
That's
different.
my point.
The
That's exactly my point.
I'm not looking at booking. Like in regards to like, oh, I'm gonna put you're gonna do this and you're gonna do this. Like Ricochet, he came in and what did he do? He pretty much jobbered for everybody. That was his booking. He jobbered to everybody for no reason. For no reason. Rhea Ripley, if you have her turn heel in this match and then don't give it a good payoff, and then you send her up to the roster as a heel, because people pay attention. People be like, okay,
Who?
why?
Who?
Fans, the fans that
Who?
watch, the fans that watch.
Really? Do they? Do they?
Yeah,
Let's keep it a buck.
they're,
Do they?
they're gonna
Or
be
do
like,
we pay attention?
I'm telling you, they're gonna be like, what was the point of turning Rhea Ripley heel in War Games and all that, and to give the route to Shotzi to come back up to the main roster and go as a face? Should have just kept her face.
Then again, but that's the thing. You have her as a face, quote unquote, because you're assuming Charlotte's going to come back as a heel. You're assuming this, right? You're
The
assuming Charlotte's going to
only
come back as a
way
heel.
the only
Right?
way this
But
works.
Asuka, the thing is Asuka's also a face, is she not?
The
Mhm.
only
Asuka's a
way
face, is
this
she not?
works is if Asuka does not lose that belt to Charlotte.
Or it ends up being a triple threat match again.
And I doubt it. I doubt it
I would kick everybody in the shin if that happened.
because you know for a fact when Charlotte comes
Not
back,
to mention,
she's gonna face
Charlotte's
Asuka
going to
and
get a
she's gonna
pop
win.
when she comes back. But Charlotte's going to get a pop when she comes back.
Oh,
They're
of
going to bring
course.
her
They're gonna
back
make sure that
as, oh, did you miss me? As, oh, did you this? They're probably going to bring her back in like that. She's a switch because she's not a heel or a face. So Rhea could still theoretically be a heel because Rhea could really just be, she doesn't have to play the hero of, oh, you beat me last time, so I'm here to get my rematch and rah, rah, rah. She doesn't have to play the superhero. She can do that exact same thing that she needs to do and just be like, you know what? You caught me last time, but best believe I'm gonna punch your face in this time. I want that title. Rhea plays that better than she does a face anyway. She plays that 10 times better. And Charlotte being a switch doesn't matter. Like, Charlotte can work face. And because they don't have a crowd, it doesn't matter who boos her or cheers her.
nah, Charlotte can't work
Especially if
face.
she's just gonna. And that's the thing, though. Charlotte. So you mean to tell me Charlotte's gonna come back in January to win the title for a month and a half to drop it to Rhea at WrestleMania?
It's possible. With the exception of the last NXT Championship reign that Charlotte had, look
Are
at
we not paying
every single
attention to
reign
the
that Charlotte
reason why
has had.
Charlotte? Are we not looking at how Charlotte has constantly complained about the way she was booked? Are we not looking at that? Are we not looking at the history of how Charlotte complains
Look at
about
what
how
they're
she's booked?
doing. Look at what they're doing with her. They are padding her championship reigns. They have been doing nothing but that since
So they're doing
just
what they did
before
with Randy.
WrestleMania 35.
So they're doing what they did with Randy, essentially.
Look at it. She won the title from Asuka leading into WrestleMania 35 for absolutely no reason. Becky beat her at 35. She loses she wins the title back and loses it the exact same night at Money in the Bank. Turns around, wins the title back from Bayley, and loses it back to her. I swear 2 weeks later. And then right after that was the time she won the NXT title. She had that title for I think 2 months because NXT doesn't run pay-per-views like that.
Mm-hmm.
They are run. I swear, her championships, like the SmackDown Women's Championships or whatever championship she had on the main roster, not the NXT title. Those title reigns, like her last 4, totaled up to like a month. They're using her just to pad that title number because they want to
So
get her to
again,
60.
then does it actually matter if she works heel or face? As long as she gets the title.
What I'm saying with Charlotte when it comes to Charlotte working heel or face is it doesn't matter how they portray Charlotte. They can call her a face all they want. Charlotte will always be a heel.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. She's gonna
And
come. She's
pretty
coming
much
back a heel. It
and
don't
pretty
matter.
much whoever goes up against her, with the exception of somebody who's just insufferable, like if they put her out there against Lana right now, I'm going for Charlotte because I don't need Lana anywhere near the title picture.
That's fair. That's fair. And I mean, there's also that there's that outside chance, and I'm just throwing it out there that Charlotte doesn't get to face Asuka, and that she instead takes the title off of Lana.
Ugh.
Because they have been kind of squeaking it in there, like Lana
They
could
have
have an
been.
outside. They have been, and you know it's true.
But
in
I'm
order for
gonna
them to
need
pay off everything they're doing, Lana has to win the title. Am I wrong?
I'm gonna need you to edit that whole part out of there because I need Jay to stop speaking bad stuff into existence.
Because I mean, again, if the ultimate goal is to pay off Rhea Ripley after a year full of booking, and you know Triple H is gonna push as hard as he can, especially because now he's getting more and more control because
No.
backstage
You have
is
to add
getting
the
more
key
and more
word.
restless.
Yeah, you have to add the key word that he's going to try. But at the end of the day, Bruce Pritchard, his word is gospel right after Vince McMahon.
True.
It don't matter
do you
what's
truly
going on.
do you truly believe that nobody up top sees Rhea Ripley as a top champion
They might,
after last year?
but think about this. They wanted to push Peyton Royce. They wanted to push Bianca Belair, and they forgot. They can see they can see Rhea Ripley as the next Charlotte Flair, but not give her the same push. They can say
I
whatever
mean,
they
they
want.
could.
They
They
can say
definitely
anything
could.
they want, but you got to remember, at the end of the day, don't it take it with a grain of salt, pretty much.
You're right. You're right. You're 100% right. But all that to come back to the fact that, for one thing, Team Shotzi winning makes no sense
And
because
here's the other
the
thing:
faces just won.
Rhea Ripley losing to Charlotte at Mania made no sense. It didn't.
Mm-hmm.
And here's the
Mm-hmm.
funny thing: they're counting her Charlotte's reign as NXT champion as part of the 12th title reigns.
Mm-hmm. I know.
When did that become official?
Because if that's the case, then Bobby Lashley is a how many time world champion?
Not just that. Now you got to add Finn Balor to the. He's been the NXT champion plus the top. So how many reigns that he's had?
He's had 2.
I'm
3.
saying, yeah,
3.
that's what I'm saying. You got to add all that now. You got to add. You got now. It's like okay, so anybody that's been an NXT champion is on the same level as anybody that's been heavyweight champion.
I'm gonna throw something in there
outside
real
of Bo
quick.
Dallas, that actually makes sense.
I'm gonna throw something in there real quick just because of the fact that it really depends on how WWE feels about NXT in a particular time because of the fact that you have the situation where last year NXT was being presented as the third brand because they wanted to put eyes on themselves rather than AEW. But now it's already looked at as NXT is just on Wednesday night to take viewers away from AEW. It's not there to win.
Right.
So it's kind of sort of like WWE knows they have a losing hand in this one, and they're just throwing it out there just to be like, all right, whatever. We'll throw them out there. We know we have our diehards that are going to stick with us on Wednesday nights or whatever. They're not going to watch that other show. But that to me says that they really don't give a shit about it, because if they wanted it to succeed, they would throw it on a different night.
Mm-hmm.
and they had
Throw it
proof
on
of that.
Thursday. Ain't nothing on Thursday.
They had a proof of that. They threw it. I forgot what they threw it on, and they
Tuesday.
had yeah,
Tuesday.
and they got
Yeah.
higher views, and there
Mm-hmm.
was murmurs. They were talking about moving it, and then they said no, it's going back to Wednesday because of the fact they want to take viewers
Yeah,
from
because they want to
AEW.
take viewers from AEW rather than actually increasing their own viewership,
Hmm.
which is
Mm-hmm.
counterproductive as hell. But I'm not a billionaire, so I don't know. That's above
Mm-hmm.
my pay grade.
Mm-hmm. But again, based on what you're saying, continuancy to them doesn't matter, correct? Continuancy doesn't matter in this case, right?
To a certain
All
extent,
right, let me put it
to
to
a
you like
certain
this.
extent, to a certain extent.
Let me put it to you like this. I just believe that if Charlotte comes back and wins that championship, that it would be completely asinine in every sense of the word to move Rhea Ripley up as a heel and then switch her back.
I
The
think if
only way
Charlotte
that it would
becomes
make sense is
champion,
if Asuka continued on being champion.
see,
Here's my
And I
question to
don't
you.
then
think
Here's
that's
my
the case
question.
because Asuka's cold.
When has somebody moved up to the roster as a face or a heel, left NXT as a face or a heel, and then gone to the main roster the opposite?
Question: what was Drew McIntyre when he left NXT?
face. He's a
Face.
face.
All
Yeah,
right, then
it was Drew. Drew
he's
did.
one.
Drew did. Drew
Okay.
did. Because when he got introduced as the hitman for Dolph Ziggler.
As Dolph Ziggler's hitman.
Yeah, but you got to remember though, he took time off though, because he was out with injury. He didn't
No, he
leave
wasn't. He
NXT.
wasn't hurt.
Yeah, he tore the tricep. Remember when he lost to
Oh,
Andrade?
right, right,
So
right, right,
it's
right,
not
right.
like he's like he lost and then like he showed up like a week or two later. He lost and he was gone. He came back from that injury and then he was a heel.
See, my thing is if you're gonna have him, if you had someone come up in a storyline, I could agree with you. You have someone coming up in the Royal Rumble, he'll face whatever. If you win the Royal Rumble, you're gonna be happy, correct?
Right, but again, back to the question: who has gone up from NXT to the main roster? Drew doesn't count because he was hurt during that time period. Who left NXT as a face or a heel and gone to the main roster the opposite?
I mean, you could argue Lacey, but
Lacey was a face in NXT.
Lacey was a heel.
No, she debuted as a heel.
Oh, she did. They flipped her really quickly then.
They didn't know what to do with her. That's why. But that's what I'm saying though. It's like it makes no sense to it doesn't. The continuity there is there. You don't
Wait,
have
wasn't Seth a face? Seth was a face in NXT.
That I don't know how would we even qualify that one because Seth didn't debut by himself.
He didn't.
he got
He
But
debuted
repackaged.
all
with the
three of
rest of
those.
the
He
Shield.
got repackaged now. So
But that's what I'm saying.
that's a way.
That whole thing is again, Rhea is debuting in the Royal Rumble. That's
Right.
how I'm looking at it.
Right. But here's the thing.
It's neither your working. It doesn't matter at that
Is she
point.
getting repackaged?
They
If
better
she,
not.
if she's
I mean,
getting repackaged,
what are you gonna do with her?
if she's getting
You can't
repackaged,
repackage her.
if she's getting repackaged, and it don't matter if she was a heel or a face before.
But I mean,
You
she's
get
already
what I'm going
packaged
now?
as she's already. No, I don't, because at the
Okay.
end of the day, her heel and her face package is the same thing. It's the same thing. She's the biker chick. She's the biker chick. She's just more mean on one end than she is on the other end. That's it. You
Well,
can't
for
repackage
what
Rhea.
it's worth, all heel and face does in WWE is determine who you go up against because they don't want to put heel
But
or
that's
face
my
face.
point. Not to mention, Rhea and Charlotte is a blood feud, so heel or face doesn't actually matter in this situation. These are just two people who hate each other.
It's rare to see a face and a
It is
face
rare, but it's not
feud.
impossible.
It's
But it's not impossible.
it's more possible to have two heels hate each other, but I don't think
So
I've
what are
ever
we doing
seen.
here?
I have never seen a face and a face not get along.
I have.
The only time
But again,
it was Hogan
if
and Randy,
Rhea
but
comes
that
up,
was when Randy was flipped.
Yeah, it was Brett and
To the heel.
Sean. Um,
I thought Shawn was a heel though.
No, no. They've done both. They've done face face. They've done heel heel with the two of them.
Mm.
Um, the hell, Austin and Rock.
Hmm.
Well, Austin was a tweener though.
So was Charlotte.
No, Charlotte's not a tweener. Charlotte's a heel. Charlotte is like a
No,
heel
you
heel.
want to categorize her as a heel, but the company sees her as a switch. This is what I'm trying to
The
say. The
company
company
sees
is
her as a
always,
face. I don't know what the hell they're doing.
The the,
but
the
and
company
again,
sees so many
that's
things, but it's like the company's trying to force her
again,
down as a face, and like
but that's
nobody.
why they had her go away. And if you notice, if you look at what they've been doing with her via social media and how she's reaching her fans, she sounds like a face. They're packaging her as a face, and she kept saying, "You guys are gonna miss me when I'm gone. So when I come back, then you'll learn to appreciate me." So she can literally just do the whole queen gimmick without having to be mean. And Rhea can just come in pissed because she's going to naturally be pissed.
That actually
Like
sounds
again,
a
the
lot like
story
Roman right now, though.
it's
You're gonna
it's
miss me when I'm
there.
gone.
Like it's there.
No, I'm
Like
saying
it,
what that
but
that's that sounds so much like Roman right now. I really don't
and
want them to
again,
do that.
Kevin and the thing is Kevin Owens would have, correct me if I'm wrong, Kevin Owens would have done a lot better with this feud if he was fight Owens fight heel that beat John Cena versus what he is right now.
I think he could still be fight Kevin Owen fight as a face, like an
And
underdog.
he's trying to do that. That's what I'm saying. He's trying to do that. Where he's like,
But
I know I've done bad things in the past, but I'm trying to rectify it. I'm not a big fan of that. I'm more of a fan of, well, you guys want to sit up here and act like you're the head of the table, so let me punch you in the face and let me find out if you're the head of the table.
mhm,
That's the Kevin Owens I like. I don't need friends. I just want to punch you in the face.
mhm.
Well,
But I
me
mean,
and my thing
again,
about
it does.
Kevin
It
Owens
doesn't.
have me and my thing with Kevin Owens actually goes way beyond right now. So I'm
Yeah,
not even going to touch that right
we're not
now.
doing that right now. But what I'm saying is, again, you guys are so fixated on we're gonna turn her heel, and then she has to automatically flip back to face. And it's like
I'm
that
like I said,
is not necessarily true.
the reason being is because for the majority of the fan base, Charlotte is always going to be heel, especially
And for
considering
the and but that's the
how she
thing.
presents
From
herself. Even as a face, she works heel.
right, but then if you look at Rhea Ripley, does she not do the same?
You got
She
a way
even
smaller
presented as a
sample size with Rhea Ripley.
of course, like
But I
you
mean,
can't
and
do anything about that.
but look at
With Rhea
look at the
Ripley, when
entrances
she
though.
came back,
Look
because
at the
again, you just
entrances.
had her face Io Shirai. You just had her face Io Shirai, right? Both
Hmm.
of which who were face. And it was just a rubber match. It was just a simple like, I'm here, I want my title back. They had a fight, they shook hands, that was it. Right? Did that not, that just happened?
It is true, but are you going to get, if that's what you're saying, are you going to go face Rhea versus Charlotte? Because even in
I'm
that
going
case,
heel. I'm going heel because there's
at
malice there. Like
Mania,
at Mania, there's malice there. But the thing is that Rhea is automatically going to get cheered as a face. Rhea is going to get cheered as a face because the majority of the fan base does not like Charlotte, and they will not like Charlotte. I would be surprised if Rhea got booed. I'd actually be surprised if either of them got booed. I think
No,
both of them will get cheered
nah.
because Charlotte's been
I
because
think
again,
Charlotte's will be mixed.
you get tired of Charlotte, we get tired of Charlotte, but Charlotte's been going long enough that now you see the gaping hole that she left in the women's division, and people are gonna love them some Charlotte when she gets back.
No,
And
my
you know
problem.
it. You know I'm right, Benny. You know I'm right. You
No,
know I'm right.
the problem is the problem.
what I'm going to say is you have a bit of a point, but there's another part to that as well.
Right.
There is a huge hole left by Charlotte not being there. And y'all, I don't know if I said this to y'all or if I said it to Joe, where I said, like, I'm starting to miss Charlotte. The reason I'm starting to miss Charlotte is because they are literally having Asuka do nothing. Asuka is your Raw Women's Champion, and she has not a, even a modicum of a feud right now. Her feud is a tag team feud in which she is the fourth wheel. She is just there because Lana needs a partner for
I'm not
TikToks and
disagreeing with
Instagram
it.
videos.
And that's another reason why you take the title off of Asuka, because you know they're gonna put the tag titles on her, probably.
Here's the other thing. With Charlotte, you have that whole core: Charlotte, Bailey, Sasha, Becky.
Mm-hmm.
The titles revolve around them no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
You plug and play one, and then you throw everybody else at them, and then you plug whichever one is free, and she takes the title off of
Mm-hmm.
her.
Mm-hmm. But you have them split now.
Yeah, but here's the problem. Here's the annoyance that I have. I don't miss Charlotte. The problem is they don't want to build anybody else. They want the titles to revolve around these four, which is annoying because they have some talent that they can build, but they won't do it. And
But
then they
none of them
decide,
have the star power that Rhea Ripley does. None of them
no, no,
do.
no. I'm talking about right now on the roster right now. I'm not worried about
Mm-hmm.
Rhea Ripley. You grab the two title contenders for Asuka and you put the damn tag team titles on them. And then you have
We're
Asuka
talking
sitting
about a
there.
whole different show.
And then
We're
you
talking
have
about a whole
Asuka
different
and
show, though.
right. But I'm saying though, you say, oh, well, you miss Charlotte. I don't miss her. The gaping hole that she left is because creative don't know what to do with everybody else. It's not Charlotte. You can have a
I'm not.
person leave, but if you have everybody else stepping up, getting in there and filling in that gap, it's fine. But they don't
I'm
want
not
to.
disagreeing with you, but that's not my point.
They don't
That's
want
that's
to.
not the point I'm making. But that's not. But you're completely missing my point here.
Your
My
point is
point
your
is
point is Charlotte. That's the
she's
gaping
going to
hole.
get the pop. No, no, she's going. My point is because Charlotte's been gone for so long,
But you got to
and
remember though,
because her being gone has added positive press to her,
right? But you have to
because
remember
there's a
the
gaping
pop,
hole
the
in
the
that
the
sense.
pop she's gonna get is the pop that they want her to get because it's the audio they're gonna pump in.
But
It's
that's my
not the
point.
natural. But that's the saying though.
That's my
It's
point.
something different if
A
there was a
natural,
live
like you
action though.
said, the thing
There
is
was,
the live action doesn't matter right now because there is no crowd.
but the thing that's why you can't say a pop because there is no crowd. So if there was a crowd, we can't say what her pop is gonna be. Is it gonna be a pop of yeah, or is it gonna be a pop of booze? We don't know.
I mean, there's going to be a pop a year. There's nobody. Come on, you
Well,
know right now. You know
let's
for a
actually
fact.
let's actually think about that for a second though, because if Charlotte comes back, it really if there was a crowd there, it would really depend on what she did when she came back. If she goes out there and she big boots Oscar in the face, she's gonna get booed. If she goes out there and she big
Would
boots
she? Because
Naya in
Oscar
the
wasn't getting a
face,
reasking,
if I'm talking about if she comes back now, if
right?
she goes out there and she big boots Naya in the face, that's a different story.
That's what I'm saying. The pop
Again,
and the thing is right now the pop is being manipulated by the TV crew.
but my whole thing
You
is
know what I'm
even
saying?
okay, cool. So even if you don't account for the pop, right? If the pop is being manipulated, what does it matter what Rhea Ripley comes to Royal Rumble as? What does it matter? What does it matter?
In the
What does it
long
matter what
In the
run,
long
Charlotte comes back as?
in the long run, to be honest with you, nothing matters at all with this. It's just where I stand from with my own mentality about how this should work. There's no reason to flip and then flip back.
So you mean to
it's
tell me
useless.
building your next big baby face is not a reason, and then moving one of your established stars into a title feud, that's not enough for you?
I don't think that they're good. If Rhea flips, she's gonna have to win. She's gonna have to beat Shotzi. Otherwise, you destroy her heel turn, which is the
Again,
exact
it's
same
not
thing that I
about
said about
destroying her heel turn.
which is the
It's
same
not
thing I
about
said about
destroying her
Sasha
heel
Banks
turn. It's
last
about
year.
establishing. But again, Sasha, it's not like Sasha was going from one major show to another, or one minor show to a major show. It's
No,
not
but
about that.
when she came back and she turned heel, the immediate impact was we finally have that challenger for Becky Lynch to establish a feud that is going to establish her title reign. You
But
didn't
again,
get
you're
that
talking
because
about
you
completely different
automatically beat her.
circumstances, though. But you're talking about astronomically different circumstances. Because Sasha turning heel was, oh my God, now we have this challenger for Becky. Rhea turning heel is, oh snap. So now now she's going after Shotzi because Shotzi took her shine or whatever. Okay, so if now Shotzi has to go against someone who's a former champion, who's going toe to toe with Charlotte, who has all these credentials in NXT, and Shotzi has no wins. No wins. None. All her wins are against enhancement talent. She has no wins. How is she going to beat Rhea? When literally no one in that ring, outside of Io, no one in that match has beaten Rhea Ripley. No one. Shotzi would be the first to beat Rhea Ripley.
Tony.
They don't count NXT UK.
But here's the thing, though. When you make a flip like that, it has to pay off somehow. That's what we got to tell. We trying to tell you.
This is what I'm talking about. How is it not paying off? I don't understand how you're not paying
It
it
has to
off.
pay off for that particular character, is what we're saying.
She's going away. What other payoff do you need? She doesn't
Then
exist
what
in
that
NXT
means
anymore.
is there's no reason to flip her then.
Yeah.
If you're gonna flip her, she needs to stay there for a while.
Then explain to me why the Street Profits last match against War Raiders happened.
Who? Which with the War Raiders? This
Yeah.
in what the NXT match?
Yes. Why did that
Were
happen?
the Street Profits faces then?
You don't know who was what. They were both faces. You couldn't tell who was who. But they had a feud. As stupid as a feud was,
that one made no sense because of the fact that we knew the Warriors were going up, but they
And
wanted.
we don't know Rhea's going up.
We know she's going up.
Well, let me put it together. We think she's going up.
She thinks she's going up. She's the one saying
She
it.
thought she was going up in the draft.
This is what I'm saying.
All right, tell me this. Whose storyline would be better with the heel turn? Ember or Rhea?
Rhea.
Staying in NXT.
No, she wouldn't stay in NXT. There's no reason for her to stay in NXT.
But see, here's the thing.
Okay, so cool. If you were gonna do that, if you were gonna turn Ember heel, then why not have Tony attack Rhea and not Ember? Why would you have Tony attack Ember for Ember to turn again? That makes no sense.
Because that's the Trojan horse. You want to win War Games? You need to let them think that Ember is on your squad.
She's gonna lose War Games technically. She's not gonna win. She's still gonna lose.
Who are we talking about here? Ember or Rhea?
Ember would still lose.
If she flips on Shotzi, if she flips on Shotzi,
still loses.
If she flips on Shotzi,
because she's still technically Team Shotzi, she still loses.
Okay, but if she flips, she don't care about losing. She cares about them losing. She cares about Io losing, about Shotzi losing. She don't care if she loses.
Because you're making
point.
Io the main focus. The problem is that you keep thinking Io's the major part of this match when she's not.
But it's the thing I was telling you. This match is to set up her feud.
This match is to set up Shotzi's feud.
No,
this match is to pay off Shotzi.
It's
yes,
not.
It is.
It's not just Shotzi.
It's not just Shotzi.
It's not just Shotzi. It's Io too as well.
Her next feud is again against Candice because her feud with Candice never finished.
I don't want that feud. I'm tired of that feud.
That's again because you don't want that feud doesn't mean that's not the logic.
How's that feud not finished? She already beat her twice.
She also already beat Dakota Kai twice.
And that's what I'm saying.
So who's she gonna go? And again, the natural progression would be Toni Storm, right? The next person up would be Toni Storm, technically, right?
Okay, wait. Here's my question. Who did Tony beat?
So why would Ember Moon flip?
Who did Tony beat?
Or
that's why you have Ember and Tony face each other. Then the next person after that is who goes up against Io. Because that's not going to be a feud. That's just going to be a match. It's going to be a number one contenders match. That's going to be a one-off. You know that. That's going to be a one-off. Or that's going to be a build to a number one contenders match. You know that. And it's gonna be Candace still saying blah 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 blah. Because again, even after Candace wins, who does Candace have to feud with outside of EO?
Shotzi.
She's already done that twice.
Oh, jeez.
This is what I'm saying. You're by your own logic, you don't make any sense.
Mm.
You're trying to wish things into existence. Like this isn't Harry Potter. You can't swish and flip and make things happen. It's not gonna work like that. Stop it. You are not Doctor Strange. You ain't doing all of this, and dimensions are opening where things you want exist.
Don't get me
Look
started
at the story that they're
on
look at the story that they're giving us. Look at the story. Just look. It's there. It's there. You just don't want to believe it. It's there.
We'll find out tomorrow. We'll find out tomorrow. We'll find out tomorrow. We'll see. We'll see. At the end of the day, we don't even know. There might not be no swerve.
Oh, so they're just gonna do lame duck booking
We don't know that.
for their last show of the year. They're gonna do lame duck booking.
Well, in that match, they might because we do have one more to talk about.
Yeah.
What does the men's have to do with this? The men's literally has absolutely nothing to do with this.
Let's get into the men's. Jay.
I forgot we even had another match.
It's the last one. Undisputed Era versus the Brand.
This one is also you damned if you do and you damned if you don't. Like there's no right answer here.
There is none.
Because Undisputed Era is undefeated, but now Undisputed Era is working face. It doesn't make sense. Like you flipped Undisputed Era for a one night only, a one-off being faces. And they're not really even faces. They're working happy heels. Because, we're backed up against the wall. So now we have to fight our way out of a corner. Yeah, right. Just because, y'all been hurt is the only reason why y'all backed up against the wall. Oni and Birch working heel, hilarious. But, does it work? Does it not work? I don't know. Pete Dunne makes sense as a heel, but your champion is also a heel. And Adam Cole is the only face in this situation? This whole thing makes no sense. That being said, I 100% want Pat McAfee to pin Adam Cole after a count. I want Pat McAfee to win this so bad.
Jay, you're an asshole. You're an asshole, Jay.
I don't care. I want Pat to win so bad because I know his show after NXT War Games is going to be so fire if he wins. It's going to be so... And Pat McAfee winning and pinning a former NXT champion after what CM Punk just came out and said on top... Oh, my God. So much heat. So much heat. And it essentially disgraces Undisputed Era, and it takes them to a whole nother level of pissed off. And brings you back to... And then again, it gives Undisputed Era nothing but motivation. Because if they win, what does Undisputed Era have to do now? Nothing. Well, we have to get the titles back. No, trash. Makes no sense. Them losing, on the other hand, makes them dangerously aggressive. Dangerously. Plus, Pat McAfee with a kick can take Adam Cole out for a couple of weeks. So you write Adam Cole off. Pat McAfee for the dub. What I'm saying. Bring back the brand. I'm all for the brand. I'm all in on the brand.
Let me
next NXT champion.
Let me give mine
with the kick there too.
I got a feeling Benny has a lot to say.
Everybody.
Yup.
So let me get mine out here. So I'm also gonna say for the brand. The reason being is it's one of those where you have that faction and you have so much momentum from them right now. If they lose War Games, like you pretty much nixed them quickly. All they have is a tag team title at that point. And how long can you have that go for? Because again, like Jay said, Undisputed Era, like, we want the belts back. We're gonna get the belts back. You can't. You need the brand to win this one, and it's gonna cause Undisputed Era that undefeated streak in War Games. But that's gonna drive it even more because that's another thing that's a big one. You undefeated in War Games, bro. That's not a joke.
Who?
And
Undisputed.
they're the only
No, they're not.
guys. They're the only guys who've been. Yes, they are.
No, they're not.
You
They're
sure?
1-2.
They're
They
both of them
lost
is
last
undefeated
year.
in war games.
They lost last year,
Yeah, because
and they
Ciampa
lost the
pinned,
year
didn't he?
before to Ricochet and War Games, War Machine team.
Mm.
That's one of the things that I was going to bring up. They've lost the last two. They won the first one, but you remember
There
last
have
year
been
when
four
Ciampa took
war
Adam
games.
Cole off the top of the thing.
You sure they only won one? I thought they won more than one.
As far as I know, they're 1-2. They won the initial one and they lost the next two
Mm.
because I think it was Ricochet, Pete Dunne, and the War Raiders that beat them, and then they lost to Ciampa's team last year.
Okay. Well, go
Yeah,
back to what I'm
no,
saying.
they did. They did lose last year. They did
Mm.
lose last year.
All right. So let me backtrack. Strike that out of there. So the brand has a momentum right now. Them losing these war games will kill that momentum. So they need that. They need it more than anything. And like Jay said, can you imagine Pat McAfee going to his radio show and just talking up all the jazz because he won war games?
Mm-hmm.
The cross promotion having Pete Dunne or only Lorcan at least for a segment to talk about it. You know what I'm saying? So there's a lot more at stake, a lot more that comes out good for the brand to win it.
Actually, Undisputed Era has never won a war games.
Are you serious? I thought they won one.
They didn't win the. I could have
They've
sworn they
ne-
won the first one.
they might have won the first one. I'm checking right now because the first one was in 2017, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they won the first one because the first one was Alexander Wolf, Eric Young, Killian Dane, and um that's weird. What?
Was that
That sounds
Imperium
like too
that
many
they
people.
beat?
No, this was before Imperium. They beat Sanity.
Roderick Strong and Autos of
It
Pain.
says
Ah,
it said yeah, but it's like 5 against or 6 against like 3. That's why I'm like, this doesn't make any sense on that one, but whatever. But yeah, that was a weird one.
Oh, it was three teams of three.
Oh, it was 3 teams to 3. That's what it was. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah. So
yeah.
they won the
It
first
was
one, but they've lost the
Sanity,
last two.
which is a three. A disputed era at that point they were three, and it was Roderick Strong with Autos of Pain.
Yeah, and that's when the heel turn happened.
No. It wasn't that night. It wasn't that
Oh, I
night.
think it was like right after that, though.
It was the next one out because I remember seeing that heel turn. I was like, what the
Yeah.
hell? I was like, damn. But yeah, I think this is a bigger win for the brand than for Undisputed Era to win this match. So I'm going with the
Mm-hmm.
brand as well. Benny, the floor is all yours.
all right.
I'm gonna mute my mic.
I'm. I swear, when I was looking at this card, this match right here is the one that gave me the most trouble. Reason being, because of the fact that I don't know how much longer Triple H can hide Undisputed Era from Vince. And if he continues to hold them in NXT, or if he's allowed to hold them in NXT any longer, what do you do with them? Do you keep them together as a group, or do you split them up? Like what was being teased prior to um what's the name? Because I know Kyle O'Reilly got hurt. And then a couple of listening, we had Ridge Holland take out Adam Cole for a while or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Then next thing you know, you have the brand start to show up. So
Right.
where were they going with that? Were they actually going to do the split? Because what you were starting to see was two factions start to be formed within the Undisputed Era. You were started to
Mhm.
have one with Adam Cole and Kyle O'Reilly, then Fish and Strong.
You have. Mhm.
Case in point, I believe it was Steven Larson that brought this one up. If you take a look at that dinner video that they had the other night on NXT, you could
Mhm.
see that there were these little weird lighting cues that were in it where you
Mhm.
had Cole and O'Reilly were the ones that were mostly doing the talking, and they
Mhm.
were in the light, whereas you had Strong and Fish sitting back there like, the hell with all this reflection shit. I want to fight. They were
Mhm.
kind of sort of shaded off in the dark.
Mhm.
Now, I am not trying to say that there's going to be a heel turn in this match, because if you have a heel turn in this match, and say Fish and Strong decide they want to turn heel, they're a tag team, and the tag team champions are on that side. That makes no sense.
Mhm.
So there'd be
Mhm.
no reason for that to happen. The one
Mhm.
issue that I have is the fact that Undisputed Era is 1 and 2 in these damn War Games matches. How
Mhm.
many more times can you throw them in there before they're just expected to lose? Everybody's looking at these guys as, all right, they're the vets in this match. You know, they're the ones that have been in the most of them all the time and everything like that. But the thing is, you got an under 500 record in the match. You lose
Mhm.
this one, you're 1 and 3. That being said, as I pointed out before when I was talking about the women's War Games match, I don't have a dog in this fight simply because of the fact that my two favorite NXT superstars are on opposing sides, with Pete Dunne on one side, Kyle O'Reilly on the other. So,
It's a
like I said,
win-win.
I'm not pulling for anybody. I am gonna say the brand takes this because I see more in them winning than I see in Undisputed Era winning. Simply because of the fact that if Undisputed Era loses, then you can take this as, all right, we need to fix this problem within ourselves, or there's a problem within ourselves and we're just gonna fight. And on the other side, you had when the whole thing that started this War Games thing up was the brand targeting Finn Balor. They came out there to confront Finn Balor, talking about they were going to take over. They were going to he might as well just hand them the title and everything like that. And y'all brought it up not too long ago. Pete Dunne is your perfect challenger for him.
Mhm.
I'm going with the brand. This gonna be a banger though. And
Oh,
I
for
am
sure.
waiting, and I am
For
waiting,
sure.
and I am hoping that Pat McAfee somehow, some way, stage dives off the top of that cage.
I doubt it. I want to see it too, but I doubt it. They're not going to let him take that kind of massive bump.
He is
They're
going
not
to
going to
do
let
it
him take
just
that bump.
because of all of the vets that he has in that ring with him.
I mean, again, because it's starting to come out from the wrestling world that Pat McAfee is so good after being so green. I don't know how much leverage they're gonna give Pat McAfee. I don't know how much spots they're gonna give him for this one.
I know. Apparently, he pissed a lot of people off outside of the company because of the
Mm-hmm.
fact that they said he was booked so strong it made wrestling in general look weak, because
Mm-hmm.
you got this guy who's untrained coming in there, you know, basically making it look easy. But
I
I,
don't see it that way at all. I
it,
never saw it that
neither
way.
did I.
Neither
I
did I
figured
either.
Pat McAfee's an NFL athlete, right?
Yeah.
And
Not just that.
he's not your typical punter or kicker, right?
Right.
No, that boy knew how to lay the wood.
But here's the
Yeah,
thing.
the
Here's the
guys.
thing. We don't know if he was taking classes because they're not going to tell us. You know what
Well,
I'm saying?
I mean,
we know
we
personally
know
because he
Pat
went
was
and bought himself a ring and
That's
he's
what
been
I'm.
training.
yeah,
That's what I'm saying though.
yeah.
But he's been training. You know, so we don't know if somebody's been actually training him, and who was it, and for
He
how
talked about
long.
it on the show.
I don't
He
watch the
talked
show.
about it on the show.
I don't watch the show that
Yeah,
much.
he talks about. I forgot what it's one of those really like notable wrestling coaches. It's not Lance Storm, but
So how long has he been doing
people.
it?
Uh, he said he started doing it about a year before his match with Adam Cole, but he started taking it seriously like the months leading up into it because it was always something he wanted to do.
Mm-hmm.
And he went to a class and he was like, okay, he kind of got hooked. So he kept doing it, kept doing it, kept doing it. It's kind of that Jake Paul situation where like you don't expect him to be good. Jake Paul's still not good, but he's trained a lot.
So pretty much he's been
And
training
he's
for a whole year.
unexpectedly trained.
Like take
He's been
out
training
the
for more than a year. He's
take
been training
out
for more than a year because he was training up until the point he had that match with Cole.
right.
He didn't stop training.
Mm-hmm.
And he said he was using it to get in shape for his wedding, which was the same weekend of
Mm.
Takeover.
That's wild.
Yeah.
So he was doing a lot of different things and he was training to get in shape. And he stayed in shape relatively.
Mm.
And he's already been booked strongly. So I mean,
But here's the thing though. It's like, how are you gonna say that, he makes anybody look bad if he's been training? He's not green. He's
yeah.
not a kid off the street. But it's just
You know
people
why?
I mean, I think
Because
what
the
it is
people,
because you have vets that's coming in from the independent scene and then they go into PC and they come out and when they wrestle they look like trash.
and that's not Pat's fault. That's the producer's fault.
That's not Pat's fault though. That's what I'm saying. That's not Pat's fault.
no,
That's
what I was about to say,
that's
the
the
reason
wrestlers
why
taking
they say
advantage.
that, the reason why they say that is because Pat McAfee is essentially an outsider coming into the industry. And the people that are the ones that
I
are
mean,
actually saying that are the people that are within the IWC who are trying to be gatekeepers.
that's so trash because look at who they've just signed recently. Like, didn't they just signed a bunch of NFL players? They just signed a chick that was drafted in 2019 from the WNBA. They just signed her. She was in this new class.
I'm
So it's
not
not like
saying
they're
what
not
you're saying is wrong. I'm just saying like that's what
like
they're saying.
you
They're
got
trying to be
Big E,
gatekeepers.
you got Carmella, you got Naomi, you got all these people that are all outsiders.
Mm-hmm.
Technically, all these people never went on the independent scene. Roman Reigns never went on the independent scene.
Lana.
Lana, a dance, she was a freaking ballerina.
Hell, you could tell that
Now
from
is
her entrance.
so it's one of those things where it's like that's a load of crap. But I understand what you mean. These people trying to be the gatekeeper when no one actually pays attention to them, and anybody who wants to quote them sounds really dumb.
The
Because it's
other
like
thing,
quoting
and
ESPN.
the other thing that honestly aggravates me about how they portrayed that, or how they trying to kind of sort of just went at him for that, was the fact that you got to understand that Adam Cole was in that match. Adam Cole
Yeah,
was in that match.
Adam Cole to me is just as good as your Kenny Omegas, your John Moxleys, and your whoever's in New Japan, whose name I will not even begin to butcher.
Okada.
But those guys, yeah, like those guys who can wrestle a freaking broomstick.
Yep.
Mhm.
Those guys who can wrestle literally with anyone and make them look good. I mean, like guys like The Undertaker and guys like John Cena who made people like Maven look good. That's the caliber that Adam Cole is. So don't even like that. That's a load of crap.
Mm-hmm.
That to me, it's like because again, Adam Cole is just as responsible for making Pat McAfee look strong, probably stronger than he should have personally,
Mhm.
as Pat McAfee came in and respected the sport and put the work in and actually plays into like he's better than most wrestlers in that first match because he actually understands ring psychology. He studied ring psychology. He studied the greats. He understands the theatrical aspect of wrestling versus just the wrestling. So this whole wrestling purist crap is like, bro, stop it. Like it's crap.
It's just
It's
people
crap.
trying to hold on to something. That's all.
Mhm.
That's not there because the thing is to me, honestly, you look at old wrestling matches, what's so technically great about them? I mean, you can hand pick the great wrestlers at this point. Can you not? You can hand pick them,
Oh yeah.
and there are probably only 10 that you can put on you. The rest of them were brutes who did nothing, who had
Ultimate
no character.
Ultimate Warrior.
At least Ultimate
Damn.
Warrior had a
Did
character.
did I
He
say
had
it
a
out loud?
gimmick.
Damn.
But I mean, like,
Ultimate
Oh,
not
Warrior.
hell.
not everybody
Oh.
is your Sean's, your Brett's, you know, well, basically your Sean's and your Brett's. Like, not everybody is those guys. Not everybody's your Undertaker. Not everybody's your
Ric Flair.
hate to say it, Triple H, Ric Flair, John Cena. Like, those guys are a dime a dozen. Everybody else is kind of trash, and they just kind of fill in. Some get better, some don't. But like, to say that they're trying to preserve the integrity of wrestling, really, bro? You're trying to preserve the integrity of independence because that's all you can quote to me. When in reality, wrestling at its peak used what? One of the biggest matches in WCW history was what? The tag team match with Karl Malone and Dennis Rodman. Dennis Rodman's run with the NWO. David Arquette winning the world title. Mike Tyson on DX. Floyd Mayweather fighting Big Show. So what do you like? What? Are you dumb? Are you dumb? I mean, David Arquette, Stephen Amell teaming with Cody. We're not going to talk about the Arrow though. Wrestling on the independent scene, but we're going to talk about Pat McAfee. We're going to talk about Pat McAfee. Oh, he went toe to toe with Adam Cole and made wrestling look bad. Stephen Amell looked just as good. But because he's an action star, that's expected when an NFL athlete isn't expected to perform well in physical sport. What?
I mean, I don't know what it is that they have against it. I'm guessing it's because of the fact that you have your original bar for your NFL athlete coming out in wrestling was Lawrence Taylor against Bam Bam. And that was, what, 25 years ago at this point? 26? Because I don't remember. I know it was in the mid 90s. But
yeah, but since then, like, look how many people have
I think it was the
transitioned.
other one. It was Mongo, Steve McMichael in WCW, who was he was one of them. And then you have Pat McAfee show up, and you have the talent jump from where the two of them were to where Pat McAfee is, and it's just like,
are we not going to talk about Baron Corbin being a starting offensive tackle and transitioning? Are we not going to talk about Mojo Rawley being a starting level linebacker and transitioning?
Of course not.
We're not
because
it
doesn't fit their narrative.
Bro, it's already happened.
It doesn't fit their narrative, though.
Oh my god. Like, bro, this is why it
doesn't fit their narrative, though.
Fake wrestling fans. It's like, bro, if you're gonna talk out two sides of your mouth, make sure you know what you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Because that narrative makes no sense to me. He makes the rest of it like the fact that CM Punk said it. I'm like, bro, really.
Mm-hmm.
Baron Corbin is one of the more successful wrestlers in the company now, and he was an offensive tackle all of 5 years ago.
And not just that, he's also a smart one. How many times has he been there and like helped a wrestler, and not just any wrestler, but veterans on botch moves, Like, he's like Corbin. Corbin's
if I remember correctly, wasn't Corbin the one that told everybody in the Royal Rumble that AJ was hurt and got him out the ring?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so. That's what I'm saying. Baron, people don't realize how much Baron Corbin actually does in WWE.
Again,
he does a lot.
I'm telling you, they screwed him when they put him in that mid-card vortex. When they put him in that Legion of Doom mid-card vortex crap, and they made him look like an Applebee's manager for about 6 months. They screwed him.
I was actually just getting ready to say that they screwed Baron Corbin when they put him in the constable position and had him out there showing his face. They overexposed him to the point where it was damn near the Michael Cole as a heel type thing.
Yeah. But that's not Corbin's fault because
no, it's not.
Look back at it because, again, if you mean to tell me that Jinder Mahal is a better worker than Baron Corbin, but Jinder Mahal has been world champion?
Hell no. You know why that was.
What? I mean, we all know what that was about. But I'm only saying that to say simply that if you're watching this and you're probably not a part of that group, I hope you're not. If you're watching this, you're an idiot. If you truly believe any of these quote unquote wrestling purists that say that it's a disgrace that Pat McAfee looked good in his first match versus some other guys. When we just named about 7 or 8 different examples of guys who did the exact same thing and people are still doing it. I mean, you mean to tell me that 7'3" dude that's chilling with AJ didn't come from a different sport? He's just randomly 7'3". Random dude, 7'3". Walks into WWE, already athletic. He ain't playing nothing else.
I was about to say something real racist.
Don't do that. 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 You get what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't make a lot of sense. Doesn't make sense. It doesn't make any sense to me. And that, like, again, if anything, Pat McAfee is making NXT that much more of an outer brand, and it's separating it from Raw and SmackDown that much more, and that can do nothing but good things. Because now you have people on his show, 2 guys who are wrestling fans, pushing it to other NFL fans that are like, yo, Pat McAfee's over there killing it.
Yo, especially considering the fact
ragging on wrestling fans, and they come over and they watch it for a laugh.
Especially considering the fact that we're in this COVID era and you're kind of sort of handcuffed with what you can do and who you can bring in.
Mm-hmm.
That he is an asset right now.
He is a major asset because again, he'll go from doing NXT to turn around doing his show, to turn around and doing ESPN, to turn around and doing all the big sports circuits because all of them are his friends, to having a conversation about wrestling with Aaron Rodgers on his show. And you're getting wrestling talk from Aaron Rodgers, highlighting your brand and the sport. And you're telling me that's a bad thing? Like, bro, you dumb? I was like, that's just another tangent I need to go on because some of y'all just
sometimes it needs to happen though. So
like some this is what I mean by some people rag on wrestling fans for some of the dumbest things. Like this whole beef with AEW and Sting. It's stupid. Sting being on TV is a good thing for wrestling, period.
Yep.
No matter what promotion he's under, it's a good thing. Period. WWE screwed it up. Everybody knows that. He came out and said, I wanted a retirement cinematic match with Undertaker. They said no. Period. WWE missed their shot. Sting is going to he just signed a multi-year deal. He's not taking any bumps. He's probably going to do the legacy thing with Darby Allin. That can only be good for wrestling, period. What's the problem? I'm not understanding what the problem is. Make that make sense to me.
There's no way to make it make sense. You know why? Because it's not a double standard. People see a double standard. They see AEW fans cheering the fact that Sting was signed over there and him being, what did they say? He's 61 or whatever. The problem is AEW did that and they got cheered for it. Whereas WWE brings in your older guys and they get slandered for it. And the reason, the problem with that mindset is the fact that you're talking about 2 completely different situations. Like when Chris Jericho won the world title, right? Everybody was like, oh, well, AEW is a 50-year-old world champion. Why is it a problem for WWE to have one? Because of the fact that AEW needed to establish that world championship as something prestigious. Throwing it on Hangman Page right off the beginning, like that, like that match would have done had he beat Jericho, wouldn't have done that. You would have a virtual unknown. Jericho in that position brings your mainstream audience in. Now you could introduce Hangman Page. Sting is doing the exact same thing. Sting is now there with Arn Anderson. He's there with Tony Schiavone. This is an old WCW thing. They're like, wait a minute, we got these WCW fans that have lapsed because WCW doesn't exist anymore, and they hate what WWE did with them. They're looking over there like, oh man, that's aside from Ric Flair, that's the name from WCW is Sting.
Mm-hmm.
So like, okay, we're starting to get eyes on the product and everything like that. The difference being with WWE is this is one time that AEW did this, as compared to a number that a quantum supercomputer couldn't bring up with WWE.
You're missing. You didn't even touch on the biggest difference. There's one major difference, and we've been begging for it from WWE. Legacy. They stopped once they finished with Evolution, they didn't do it anymore. Sting's predominant thing there is to not only help Darby Allin, but put Darby Allin's name out there to the mainstream audience so that Darby Allin becomes a bona fide star. That's it.
I told you guys from the get when I saw it. As soon as I saw it, I was like, that's a hand in a torch right there. It was nothing to be said.
And again, instead of having Kane versus Finn Balor, when they should have had it, and had the Demon Torch passed, they missed on that. Instead of bringing back a version of the Ministry of Darkness with Aleister Black being mentored by The Undertaker, they missed on that. Instead of having Goldberg being willing to mentor a guy like Matt Riddle and teach him the ropes, they missed on that.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of having your older guys and bringing in older guys who were willing to help young talent, I'm looking at you, Brock Lesnar, they missed on that. Instead of putting Kurt Angle with Chad Gable when he came back, they put him in a GM mode. They missed on that.
They were going to.
Jason up here.
They were going to have they were gonna have Kurt be like the manager for somebody, but he said what was it? It was
Riddle.
I can't. It
might
have
been
been Riddle, but the issue was money, and it was not enough, and he had his personal business he had to deal with. So he was like, "You're not giving me enough to stay away from it."
When he first came back, why was not instead of having it? Jason Jordan is my son. Just have him reestablish Team Angle. What's so hard about that? They could have kept the American Alpha name, but he literally could have just walked in and said, "Hey, you guys are good, but I can make you great." You really think they're gonna deny mentorship the way what's his face did with AOP and NXT?
Paul Ellering.
Yeah. It was never that hard. The same way AEW brought back Jake the Snake to manage people. They brought back Arn Anderson, and all they're doing is managing people with bumps here and there. All they're doing is managing people. That's it. It ain't hard. It ain't hard. But that's the reason why they don't have factions. They tried to do it with Paige when her absolution made no sense. That team didn't make any sense. Whereas you could have had, I don't know, Trish Stratus when she came back, give Mandy Rose and say, what's her face? The other blonde. That's Dana strong as I don't know what. There you go. Could have gave them the rub. Could have had, if you would have had a better relationship with Sable, you could have bought Sable back for that. It's not like you don't have the resources to do that. You could have had Lita come back and mentor Ruby Riott for the Riot Squad. The Riot Squad would have made more sense if Lita was there. They completely cut the segments with the 2 times they could have had the Nation of Domination help establish the Hurt Business. They missed it twice, 2 weeks in a row. They cut it. Why? Makes no sense. Rey Mysterio is sitting right there. You have how many luchadors that you're doing nothing with? You mean to tell me you can reestablish LOW? You want to talk about Eddie Guerrero so much, but don't want to reintroduce his faction? Why? Why? Is it recycling old ideas? Yes. But evidently, if you're going to hit on the nostalgia pops, why not do it that way? You're
You
using
know,
your talent,
you
you're
know exactly
enhancing young
why.
talent.
Those nostalgia pops are for one ratings bump. They're not looking for anything long term.
Like, think about it this way. Imagine Kevin Owens restarting DX or the Street Profits restarting DX and having DX be black with Street Profits in the New Day as a heel faction. Anybody ever thought of that? Nope. You got Triple H and Shawn Michaels right there. Ain't nobody ever thought of that though, right? So again, you can be upset at WWE and still praise AEW and not be against one or the other. Only thing I can see is AEW is just doing it the right way. They have less resources than the WWE does. They have less access to talent, but the talent that they do have access to, they're using it the right way. That ref that WWE fired and said let him retire with grace is now mentoring
Kyoto.
other referees. Kyoto's over there mentoring and running their whole ship over there and probably getting more money now. And got a new lease on life because he gets to ref and he gets to help young refs. Come on, bro. Like, come on now.
That
Doesn't
is
make
a
any sense.
whole
And
other thing.
it's the WWE just missing shots. And it's like, why are fans killing each other for like, oh, well, you guys are mad that this and that and this and that. And it's like, it's simply because AEW uses their legends the right way. They use their legends to enhance their young talent, not bury them.
And therein lies everything with it.
Yep.
Again, to me, it makes no sense that you had the Undertaker come back for this whole tour and him and The Fiend never had anything. And Undertaker said, I wish I would have had something with The Fiend.
I'm going to be honest with you. I didn't want that.
Maybe not a wrestling match, but some kind of passing of the torch.
Well, here's the
where
thing.
Literally, you could have had the Fiend come out and look at him and say something. You could just have Undertaker do one of these and then disappear.
That I could have got with. The issue
but you get what
is
I'm saying?
What most people were looking at when it came to the Undertaker and the Fiend is they're like, oh, okay, we want another match. I'm done with Undertaker being in the ring. Love to do the death, but again, I was so done with him being there.
And I get what you're saying, which is why my whole thing was you have him start you had Aleister Black in the back with the whole like dark room thing, right?
Which never Undertaker was still,
I digress. I'm not even going to go there with you, right? You have Retribution. You have Retribution in the works. Guys who are disenfranchised, guys who are this, guys who are that. Instead of having it be Ali, even though I understand the Ali thing, I get it from his. Why not have that faction be a supernatural reboot of the corporate or the Ministry of Darkness? And you just literally have Undertaker anoint him saying, let me show you the way. And have Aleister Black leave with Undertaker and then come back as a new dark gimmick.
Vince would rather rehash storylines like lesbian lovers and
but you don't want to rehash the corporate ministry?
Nope.
Like what? Like you don't want to rehash something similar to the Acolytes where Undertaker literally took over them and they were his mind slaves? In an era where supernatural things are as big and you can do a lot more with it, and you're literally doing cinematic matches. You're literally doing the Lake of Deletion, but you can't do something with the Ministry of Darkness.
I hear you, and this is the reason why there's like you were saying before, there's this issue with Bruce Pritchard in the back, you know, and this is why Raw and I think SmackDown 2 went smooth when Trips took over. Because there's more faith in what he can do for the talent, not just like in the ring, storyline wise, and the direction he wants to take things. Bruce Pritchard, he was given a day off because he was stressed. It's too much on his plate.
Oh, yeah. He's gonna work himself to a heart attack.
And he was like, oh, I can't make everybody happy. I can't make the fans happy. I can't make the wrestlers happy. Look, you can make everybody happy. Simply no, wait. You can make it no more. No. Here's the thing. You can make everybody happy if you do good storylines. You let the wrestlers do their thing. They're being micromanaged so much, so bad. It's ridiculous. There's no
Forget all
need.
that. If you feel like you can't do it no more, then know when to step away. Because at some point, even when you're on the top of your game, Kobe knew when to step away. Shaq kind of knew when to step away.
Kobe stepped
KG knew when
away.
to step away.
Kobe stepped away because he got the Achilles. He knew it wasn't the same. If he didn't get that Achilles injury, I
Because
think he would have played. He would have played a little more.
but but that's my point. Kobe knew his body couldn't take it no more. Pritchard knows he ain't got it no more. He knows his
Not trying
body
to sit
can't.
up there
If you
running
can sit
both
up,
Raw and SmackDown. No, hell no.
yeah,
But that money,
you
that's a lot of
can't do it
money.
no more,
That's a
bro.
lot of money, though. We don't even know how much is
Then
leaving on the
move him
table.
to corporate. Then move him to corporate.
Vince wants him as a buddy, as writing. His word is gospel. He's
Then
like
have
after
him.
Vince,
Then
it's
have
him.
him be your consultant. Bring him on as a consultant.
Isn't that how he started?
I don't know.
No, Pritchard.
Yeah.
I honestly
Minimize his
don't even
role.
know what he was supposed to be. I know he came in that position that Eric Bischoff was actually in, where he was like overseeing, not actually running, but overseeing the creative process on SmackDown. And then when Bischoff got fired or whatever, they put Pritchard in there. And then all of a sudden, because Pritchard knows how to play Vince McMahon's game and knows how to placate Vince McMahon, he kind of sort of pushed Paul Heyman out and then took over everything. So, like, I honestly don't know where to go when it comes to him, but like this, the
Paul, you know you're gonna have to
WWE
chop
is
like the
just
second half of this, right? Because we didn't finish War Games
we didn't
while
go
ago.
off on a complete tangent
Yeah,
somewhere
we
else.
finished. We finished War
You could.
Games.
That's what I'm saying. You know, there's a chop in here somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just upload this as just a random rant.
hmm
But like I said, when we look at the situation right now, I have ideas about how to book your Big E as the WWE champion. I have ideas about how to book. Once again, I'd already gone over the whole thing when it comes to how it was that Asuka and Charlotte should have had their little situation back at WrestleMania 34, especially how they
Mm-hmm.
managed to do that with Carmella. It's that what they try to do way too much, and it makes absolutely no sense because they overbook themselves,
Mm-hmm. And they booked themselves into a corner.
hmm
and
The
it's
same way I
crazy.
still say the Riot Squad should be next in line, but apparently because the Raw Women's Champions got picked on Raw, now the Raw Women's tag titles are only exclusively on Raw when they're supposed to be on all three shows.
They are supposed to be on all three shows. I don't see why they're not.
I don't understand why they're not. They talk about them as though they are, but they're not. Because again, you have that's what I'm saying. There is a women's tag division, but they don't exist on all like they exist spread across all three shows.
Mm-hmm.
And because you're not having the women's champions be on all three shows, it doesn't look like there's a because they should be having three different feuds right now. Truthfully, they should be having three different feuds instead of just Lana.
Mm-hmm.
And trying to get Lana over for a women's title reign when you're tag team champions.
I don't know. And
When
the crazy part about it
already
is,
imploded and turned on each other by now.
and the crazy
Instead of
part is
making
what
Shayna Baszler a freaking comedy act. Though she is
yeah.
funny. She's very funny.
For what it's worth, yes, she is. Especially if you were to, if you know about the stuff that goes on between her and Dakota Kai as well.
Yeah, like it's hilarious. It is hilarious.
But where they're going with this whole Lana thing, I swear, if she wins the women's championship, I won't even know what to think about WWE
I'm
anymore.
at a point, truthfully, where I want it to happen.
I
I'm
don't.
at DEFCON 7 right now. I'm pushing the red button. I'm so done. I'm pushing the red button. That's where I'm at right now. I'm pushing the red button. For Asuka's sake, I'm pushing the red button. I'm pushing her out of the driver's seat, ejecting her into the abyss to go away and recoup from one of the more mundane title reigns I've seen.
That's not her fault. Again, this is like I
I'm
go back to
not,
it goes back
and
it
I
goes
wouldn't even
back
punish her for that.
it goes back to the whole Charlotte's gone, the gap is there, and they didn't want to build nobody. They didn't want to
And
build
again,
nobody at all,
the
and they
person they
have
want to
the
build
ability to.
apparently is Lana. That's who they want to build apparently is Lana.
Yeah, when they
That's
wanted
the sad part.
they wanted to build Bianca, they wanted to build
And
Peyton Royce.
Bianca's on a different show.
No,
how
I'm
Bianca's on a
talking
she
different
about in
show.
wasn't
general. I'm
before.
talking about in general.
But they are
How like
okay, but they are building Bianca. They are building Bianca though.
right, but how long ago did they say that and then we didn't see her because they forgot about
They
her?
didn't see her for like a month.
Right,
They
they
didn't see her
forgot
for like
about
a
her.
month.
They forgot about her.
But you can't use that anymore because she's literally front and center on SmackDown right
They
now
just started
in
doing
every
that.
single segment.
And then don't forget,
That's a lie. They've been doing that for the better part of a month.
And don't forget the dumb shit they did with her in Survivor Series. Like,
Oh, I know. But
you know what I'm
again,
saying?
to me, all that says is that I figured they were saving her for the Royal Rumble. But until you introduced the whole Rhea Ripley factor, I'm like,
And,
I don't know.
that's the
I feel
thing.
like it's gonna come down to
That's the thing
I feel like it's gonna come down to those two.
because here's the thing. It's like you had all this time. You had Bianca Belair up since what? The draft? When was the draft?
No, she's been up there since before then. Because if you
Before, right?
remember
She was up
correctly,
there before the draft.
Okay, you had her
if
up
you
there.
remember correctly, wasn't she around WrestleMania time? Didn't the
Uh,
Street Profits have a match at WrestleMania that they won?
yeah, because they threw in her marriage with Montez.
I
in there.
believe they were
It was like
beefing.
right after she got called up right after Mania.
I believe they were beefing with Andrade and some. No, it was Garza and Austin Theory.
Still the same group.
Yeah.
But here's the thing: you had her up there since Mania. Put it that way. You ain't doing nothing with her until now.
I mean, I can't even sit up there and say that
You can't even say
because they've
it was
done it
busy in here
consistently.
and there. But that's the
No,
thing I'm
but
trying to
they've done it
say.
with just about every woman.
That's what I'm trying to say though, because they want to revolve everything around the 4 women, and that's annoying because you have more.
And again, I get that, but when your only enhancement talent is Natalia, you kind of got to go one at a time here.
And that's their fault
because so many women need wins, and that's
right.
a part of it.
But here's the thing: is
when literally this could be solved by legitimately just doing a Queen of the Ring tournament. I kid you not, that could solve all of their problems.
There's another way to do that too. You can free up Nia and Shayna Baszler by having Mandy Rose and Dana Brooke win the tag titles.
Mandy Rose is hurt right now, so she
I know
she's coming back.
I'm not right this second. I'm just saying you can expand your women's division
again,
somewhat.
You still have Sonya Deville in the ethos somewhere.
Well, we don't know. We don't know if we don't. I ain't gonna say if we don't know when she's coming back because I do believe she's coming back.
Well,
it
they just
depends on how long the
timeline,
legal issues
so it's
come
not. They just released a timeline of that. If all goes well, and the trial doesn't last for too long, she should be freed up by late summer, early fall. I don't think that's being extremely optimistic, but late summer, early fall.
Justice system.
Especially because of
how it went,
and especially because of how this transpired. Like he's guilty and everything like that, and it's just the lawyers just doing some lawyer stuff.
Well, no, it's more so they have to set up the trial. They have to find all the jurors. They have to go through the actual litigation process. And all of that stuff doesn't happen in one day. That happens over the course of like 3 or 4 months.
The other thing was he wanted like him out on bail. There was a lot of stuff the lawyer wanted.
That's typical.
So they have to go into court for that. So it kind of slows it a little bit.
I know they already did go into court for that. That just passed.
Right. It's
That's
just
what I'm saying. So I mean, like
annoying.
They came up with the schedule of like, okay, optimistically, if the guy is charged, sentenced, and it's an open and shut case, and the jury doesn't deliberate for a long time, yada yada yada, she should be freed up October, I want to say, of next year. optimistically, maybe earlier. But then to me, she just has to feel safe because I know it was something like they had a bunch of witnesses. They have to get all the witnesses lined up. They have to get all the subpoenas. They have to get all the evidence. They have to get
Mm-hmm.
all the emails and all that other stuff. That's what's taking so long, really. Is they have to continue to build the case, even though again they found the guy there, like he's obviously guilty. But they have to make sure it's without reasonable doubt because again, everybody deserves a fair trial. We know he's guilty. I mean, it's an open and shut case, but it's not going to happen overnight just because that's how. And then you think about it too. We're talking about Florida. Let's keep it. Let's keep it 3,000 right now. We're talking about Florida.
True. They probably all of the jurors probably have COVID.
They all isolated together. So, I mean,
sorry, Paul.
I'm sorry. We got to say, but you can't say nothing because we right.
I'm always wearing a mask to make sure I'm okay.
But I mean, like again, she's still out there in the ethos. I'm
Mickey
trying to
James.
think of Raw with Mickey James, who again was supposed to have an actual storyline. I found out a couple of days ago. The Chelsea Green thing was supposed to lead into a remix of Mickey James' storyline with Trish Stratus, but with Mickey James and Trish Stratus' role and Chelsea Green in Mickey James's role as like the obsessed fan. That's what was supposed to happen there. But then again, you still have Chelsea Green, but she's on SmackDown. So I mean, I'm not really counting that because I'm looking at the Raw women's division specifically.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just a cluster, bro. It's a cluster, and they're
I
not gonna
think
fix
you're
it.
jaded at this point. You are very jaded at this point.
It's
you're not wrong.
upsetting
I'm not
because
saying that you're wrong.
there's a talent on that roster. There is talent,
Oh yeah,
and
they have
because
more talent than they've ever had.
yeah, and they just want to build everything around a select few, and it gets boring.
It does.
It gets boring,
But I mean, again, for years it's been like that.
and then you wanna play
Years.
hot potato between these few when you can play hot potato with so many and create so many
Right.
storylines. It's just like
Right.
why? And then you wonder. And I'm hearing now that the collaboration between AEW and Impact could lead WWE to be a little bit more nervous and careful and
Oh
do
no, Trips came out and said, "Oh no, we're open to collaboration.
no.
We're open. We're always open
They
for business."
but see the thing, they could say that, but the way they do it is not the same.
Oh
Because
yeah, I know.
look at what happened. Look at the invasion story angle. Vince
Mm-hmm.
always wants to make sure his company's on top. His company wins no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not what's best for business. He
It's
killed
not.
the invasion story angle because what did he want to do? He wanted to show that his wrestlers, WWE stars, were better than WCW. You just killed
Mm-hmm.
the angle because of that.
Mm-hmm.
You made them look inferior for no reason. Anytime he brings anybody from Evolve, that collaboration was not what I was supposed to be. It's not because you didn't see those people up in WWE. You had people from WWE come down and they probably beat Evolve wrestlers. That's not how it works. The way it works is your writing staff, because their writing staff like, all right, how are we gonna do this? My guy's gonna win this match. Your guy's gonna win this match. Then we'll start building this feud and this and that. You got to give some and take some. You can't take it all because it's not gonna work because then nobody's gonna be interested in watching it
Also,
at all.
we forgot one little small incy teensy itty bitty, literally itty bitty little factor on Raw.
What's that?
Alexa Bliss.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
That's the wild card in this whole situation.
I was thinking about it. The question is when do you pull the trigger on it?
I have no idea. Because I'm looking at the superstar list and wait, Jerry Lawler still signed a Raw? That's weird.
He's probably got like a Legends deal or something.
Mm-hmm.
Lacey Evans is on Raw. Didn't know that. Naomi, who still has yet to come back from injury, that's another body that you're gonna have coming off the shelf.
She's on what, SmackDown or Raw?
She's on Raw. Mia Yimon's on Raw.
For how long?
Man, we don't know how long that thing's gonna last.
Yeah, I don't know because they did hold that whole "you're not in retribution anymore. We don't want losers" and all this other nonsense.
Yeah, so she may get kicked down to NXT, or they may just have it where she goes rogue and she's by herself.
Mm-hmm.
Because I mean, they still are holding down the whole thing of like couples being together. Because I mean, she's on the show with Keith Lee, so
Yeah, but I think it's kind of weird because of the fact that it's like like I think one of you guys said it. It would have made sense if they were traveling. They're not traveling. Raw and SmackDown is recorded on the same spot in the Thunderdome.
uh, listen, I don't make the schedule. I don't know what the schedule is. I'm
Yeah,
just saying that they're still holding that precedent because I think they're ready to go
well,
whenever
that's why I asked you
things get
what
lifted.
show is Naomi on,
Naomi's on Raw.
and that's the problem. We're the Usos. They're on
Yeah,
SmackDown.
yeah. But then the way this started, we didn't even talk about that one. I'm so upset right now with that story. We really do. They set the plans to have the Usos on SmackDown, probably as foils to the Street Profits, because Street Profits really don't have, as we saw this past Friday, don't really have any competition.
Oh, we knew that.
They they have two
We
makeshift
knew
tag
that.
teams as the other top two tag teams, which is a joke. But and I think that's the only reason why the Usos are even still on SmackDown, honestly, because this whole bloodline thing, they're killing it before it even gets started. In my eyes, they are butchering it. But that's a rant for another day because it's late. I'm hungry and I'm tired.
You are not the only one that's hungry.
Oh, I was about to eat when you guys came on. So I have not eaten since like this morning, so
All
or yesterday morning.
right, everybody. Thank you for joining us. Till next time. Peace out.